oh, these bananas, they think they're superior to normal Chinese people. Note the word normal, as if we are abnormal. They think just because they speak English, they think they're so high class. But meanwhile, anybody with half a brain is learning Mandarin because of the opportunities it presents. It seems to me when they say that we think we're superior to them, it's actually projection, because note what he said, anybody with half a brain is learning Chinese. What's the implied message?
This evening was meant to be a VFO, but on this day, 11th of October,
occasion.
yes, 11th of October 2024, we have Comrade Confucius on the podcast.
Hello from the cruel, brutal capitalist dictatorship of Kuala Lumpur.
Did you want to say that
Yes,
earlier?
I
Because
did.
on camera, okay.
I hope you're all having you guys are having an amazing day.
We are.
That's wonderful.
We are. Okay, just a bit of context. So normally before we start the podcast, we have a brief introduction on how we got to know the guests and all that. So MJ over here has an incredible talent of scouting for talent.
Before they become talent.
I'm flattered.
Yeah. He finds so many different forms of YouTubers, content creators, and whatever you want to call it, right, on YouTube. He stumbled upon your video as you were complaining about the banana situation.
Life of a banana, yeah.
Yes.
So I like to get guys who are like sub 5K subs or less.
Thank you.
Because I know at that stage, people say what they want to say because there's no cost.
Yes.
If they grow bigger, they might second guess and things like that, right? Because I'm in the field, so I know exactly how that feels as well. But more importantly is, before I stumbled upon your videos, we were in discussion about basically taking a dump on people who don't like bananas, people who shit on bananas, people who, right? And it's just, I think the universe just popped up your video because we were trying to we had like a subtopic where we wanted to talk about life in, in an SJKC, right, which is a vernacular school. So we've been trying to find like talents.
Ajax 2010 scouting material.
But not only do we have a banana in yourself, we also have someone who you can say worked at an SJKC before or.
I actually did serve at an SJKC for a year to try a very, very, ill-fated attempt at learning Mandarin. I did learn some basic Mandarin. I can speak at the level of a child, so I can order my food. I suppose that makes me a semi-banana. And I want to say that SJKC?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not... I don't want to only talk about the bad stuff because there are many positive aspects.
Absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm sure we'll get into that.
We will. Okay. So I watched a couple of your videos, all right? I stumbled upon it only. Oh yeah, you need to speak closer to the mic. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Try to keep it like 2 fingers away. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think I watched a couple of your videos and I can understand your frustration because my brother who is in Japan right now, right? Nice. He and I, I know, right? He and I share the same frustration because I think, especially when I grew up in a very unique circumstance in which I went to a private school and then I went to a public school. I never really had the opportunity to learn Mandarin. Well, I did, but I chose to not learn Mandarin. So did my brother. So we've been exposed to the same like treatment as you have
Experience
subhuman
treatment.
Yes, subhuman
Treating
treatment.
us as if we're some sort of untermenschen animals. I am surprised they haven't herded us into camps yet.
I know. It does feel that way, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and somehow I feel more welcome with like Indians and Malays for some reason. I don't know why.
Same here.
Yeah. So I want to get into the early stages. How you are a Baba Nyonya, if I'm not mistaken.
I am a Peranakan.
You're a Peranakan.
Yes.
So are your parents both from Malacca or are you? Okay, maybe we talk about how. Were you always from KL?
Oh no, my dad's family comes from Penang. And
Okay.
My mom's actually a Hakka, but I consider myself Peranakan because, well, my dad is Peranakan and we all speak English at home.
Okay.
And all my grandparents' correspondence was in English as well.
I see.
My grandmother herself was an English teacher, which was quite an unusual job for a Chinese lady in the 1950s and 60s, don't you think?
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Was it unusual?
Yeah.
Why?
uncommon, unconventional.
It's usually whites or Indians, maybe.
Oh, that's because independence and all that, right? Yeah,
Yes.
that's true. Okay.
But Peranakans were primarily English speakers. They did speak some Patois. Is it pronounced as Patois? Patois or Patois?
Patois.
Patois, sorry.
Yeah.
A Patois sort of language, which is a mix of Hokkien and Malay. I think it's called Baba Malay, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
But I
okay.
can't speak it, regrettably. My grandfather didn't think that Hokkien was very important for me as well. So
Oh, but he spoke it though.
he did.
I see, I see.
100% of the time, we all spoke English when he was alive. So
I see.
we still have ancestor portraits. We can put that in the
I mean, if you want, you can give me a link. I
I'll
can
give
put it in
you
the
a link.
description. Yeah.
Ancestor portraits from the 19th century. And you can see my ancestors don't look, if you'll pardon me for saying, stereotypically Chinese. They look,
I see.
They look semi-Southeast Asian, actually.
Okay.
Is it laid out in a way where, like how we see in the films?
It's like branched
You know,
out.
they map out like a tree.
Oh, no, not quite.
What's his portrait?
It was a
those are
portrait, not
big,
a family tree.
huge portraits in the days before photography became popular.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we still have a bakul sia. Do you guys know what a bakul
Yeah, the red and black.
Yeah.
What's a bakul here? Sorry.
It's a cake basket.
Yeah. I have one of these at home. So it's
Oh, you
quite-
do?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Because my
Peranakan
dad
as
is my dad's from Malacca.
Oh, bakul sia is you know what a bakul sia is?
So we use it. We still store stuff inside. Yeah.
Beautiful, I'm sure.
It is very unique. You don't know it when you're young because you think it's just basket, but then when you realize like, oh, this is heritage, right?
It is. Ours is over 100 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I find it very ironic that I even have Asian Americans, Asian Americans who have a very East Asian centric view of Asians screeching, "You don't know your culture. You lost touch with your culture," because I don't speak Mandarin. Like which Peranakan in history spoke Mandarin?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've spoken
No,
enough for now.
I think you make a solid point though, because I think that's how they do it. They project. And I had this minor WhatsApp conversation about how a lot of Chinese people who throw that comment at us, right? When it's like you're not even you're Chinese, you can't speak Chinese, you're not
Yeah.
Chinese, that type of thing. Just throwing it because they're projecting how they actually feel deep down, because that's all they can amount to.
Yeah, this is the one. I'm sure you guys seen it before.
It
Yeah.
is. That's a
I have a few at home.
So mine is like the one like number 5. You can scroll down a bit.
Oh, shit.
that one.
The stacked one.
Yeah. So
that's
it's
a
like
nice one.
more cylindrical. But I don't really have these round ones, I think.
Wow.
I don't have that either. Mine's like yours.
It looks so Akatsuki, man.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
It's nice, yeah.
So did you grow up in Penang or did you grow up in KL?
No, my grandfather moved the family to KL.
Oh, I see.
When my dad was very young, so he doesn't have any memories of Penang. When he
Okay.
was, I mean, he goes back few times a year, but then, most of the time he's in KL.
I see.
How did we go from Malacca to Penang?
How did
No, he was always from Penang. I always thought
Oh.
There's two strains.
I assumed he was
Straight settlements are usually Penang, Malacca.
Oh, you're
Seng.
Peranakan in Penang.
Yeah. Yeah, there are
Yeah.
two strains. There's the northern strain and the southern strain.
Ah.
The strain. Oh, that sounds so Nazi.
Sounds like a virus.
It sounds like a, yeah.
I'm sorry. Maybe you can edit that part.
No, don't worry about it. Fuck it, man. Fuck it. Okay, so when you were growing up in KL, right? Did you go to like a private school or did you go to an international school? Did you go to a public school?
I went to a government school for my first few years, and then I went to a private school in my secondary years. I went to Sri KDU.
Oh shit.
But I don't get along with most people who went there, if you don't mind me saying, because I don't generally get along with children of reactionaries unless, of course, they denounce their reactionary ways.
No, I think so the reason why I asked that question, and if you don't mind me asking, is also because I like the accent is also very particular, right? I think you speak with a very strong British accent.
Oh, that's a very good point to bring up, because people wonder how I got my accent,
Yeah.
right? I did not pick this up from the UK. I actually watched this film called My Fair Lady. Do you know that film?
I am familiar. Yeah.
Well, I saw this professor in My Fair Lady called Professor Henry Higgins, and I thought this man was my, this man is my spirit animal, so to speak. I'm 100% like this man. The only thing I lack is the accent. I may as well, if I'm going to be treated like an outsider in Malaysian society, if I'm going to be treated like a black sheep, I may as well go all the way and be a complete black sheep and be
my
exactly
God.
like a
And
Victorian.
how old were you when you decided this?
24. Oh,
fuck.
But mind you, that My Fair Lady was the first movie that my grandfather brought my dad to watch when he was a little boy.
Oh.
So that movie has a deep, deep significance for me. Yes.
You made a conscious decision and effort to change your
My
accent.
Yes, because I relate so much to the professor. And I just like the Windsor accent. I don't know why.
Wow.
And this is how old?
24. Yeah.
Oh, 24. Wait,
Yes.
so you only picked up this accent at 24 years old?
I had a rather neutral sounding accent before that. My accent sounded like this before that, very neutral. But then I started using the Windsor accent when I was 24.
What the fuck?
I've even given accent reduction lessons before.
Do you watch wrestling?
No, but
This is such a
my immediate.
but why I'm curious to know is that
No, there's a term called kayfabe in wrestling where you maintain this character even in real life. So that's why back then a lot of people were saying that wrestling is real because wrestlers would maintain the same mannerisms, persona even outside. So, and some of them still do as well. And sometimes actors, they do method acting. Where they cross over whatever they are portraying on film into real life as part of like being part of the character.
so they can live
They can
the
live that.
character.
So is your accent right now as part is some kind of character that you like to portray?
I think it's crossed the threshold. It's crossed the threshold of being a character and has become a part of my personality.
Your identity or
Yes, I really identify with Professor Henry Higgins because I'm an English teacher, and that's the manner in which I teach my students.
I see.
I don't put marbles in their mouth, and but I've half a mind to. If it were legal, I would.
Oh my God.
I do a lot of things to them. I mean, within reason, of course. But I can't because their parents would.
Oh, definitely.
The legal complications would be absurd.
I think we have graduated from abuse, right, during our time to now. I think we probably shouldn't lah. But
Speaking of abuse, I'm sorry to cut you off,
Yeah,
John, but do you know the spanking punishment that we use in our police system, our legal system?
Yeah.
That originated from the British as well, not from the Chinese. The Chinese schools, the spanking is not traditionally, I don't think it's a traditionally Chinese parent sort of punishment.
oh yeah, you're absolutely right. They bring you on stage,
Yeah.
and then they spank you with the paddle.
That's a British form of humiliation.
Oh.
Yeah. It's meant to instill shame in you. But I believe that some of our traits, some of the things we do in this country are inspired by the colonizers, even today.
I mean, now that you mention it, I feel like it makes a lot of sense.
Don't you feel after we are in SMK? Are you in Malay school? Are you from Malay school?
Yeah, I'm a mixer.
Oh, you mix. After those bad students got spanking, and then after that they kind of have street cred, and then you don't want to mess with them. Do you get this feeling? It's like as if
I don't think
yes,
it's a
badge of honor.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
The kids who toughed the spanking out and they showed a stiff upper lip when they got spanked. They were the ones that you didn't want to mess with.
Yeah, it's like a badge of honor. After that, you go to in Saujana, you see Malay kids who got spanked. Very rare. It's very rare. But during my time, there was. And then you see, oh, this guy, don't mess with him, man.
Yes.
Seriously lah.
Yeah. Because
Very
if they
rare.
can tough out a spanking, then they can tough out anything.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you don't want to pick a fight with those guys.
Did you have any spanking in your school?
No, we were from the same high school for context, right? So Vincent and I were in the same high school. We never knew each other in the high school because he was my senior. It's only after later on when we started working when we started to get to know each other.
Are we the same age, Vincent? I'm 34 this year.
Oh yeah, I'm 30. I'm supposedly 35 this year. Yeah.
I see. We're almost the same age. You look a lot younger than I do. So. I'm 34.
Okay.
Great too.
So you went to KDU, and then right after KDU, throughout your entire education, you only learned English and then Malay, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm afraid so.
No, it's okay. Nothing to be ashamed about. It's just life. So after that, did you study overseas? Did you study abroad?
I studied in Adelaide, and
Holy
Adelaide,
shit! You studied in Adelaide, bro. I just came back from fucking Adelaide, mate.
good place, right? The most English city in Australia.
Quite.
More British than London in some ways, actually.
Yes, actually, yeah.
It feels more English than London.
Bro, Adelaide, I gotta say, man. I was quite bored, man.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you go to the Barossa Valley?
No, I did not. I only stayed in the city. I had a project to work on.
You were on a work trip, a business trip. Then
I had this theory. I brought it up to Vincent as well. I feel like I never really go anywhere around the world for a holiday apart from Japan.
too busy, I see.
Nah, I just don't want to spend money to go to a place that I
makes
might
sense.
be possibly disappointed.
Korea is not bad.
Huh?
South Korea is not bad.
No, it's
You
not.
should try.
In South Korea, I had to watch the price of everything because
Yeah,
everything is so bloody expensive there.
it's so expensive, except for the flight tickets.
yeah,
is it?
the
Yeah, the
tickets.
flight tickets is cheap, man.
When I was there, I also did not enjoy South Korea. I was there last year as well. Terrible. Yeah. But so you studied in Adelaide, and if you don't mind me asking, what did you study?
I studied English and history.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you.
Like generally like world history, that type of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was there where I first got acquainted with the Bolshevik Revolution. But I'm not a communist. I don't have the discipline to struggle in the jungle for my beliefs.
Struggle in the jungle.
I mean, I'm not as handsome as Chin Peng either. So yes.
None of us can compete.
Oh, none of us can compete. He was the first Chad. He was really
He was
an
the
oppa.
first
He was
Chad.
the first oppa. You know, if you look at him, he was quite an oppa. But
Okay. So after you graduated from Adelaide, you came back to Malaysia. Did you decide then to want to try to learn Mandarin by joining as an English teacher in the SJKC?
Well, I did work at a couple of language centers for a few years. But I found that at language centers, you're always, no matter how fluent your English might be, you're always second place to the expats. I mean, the white expats, you know. Those in HR will know that Western expats tend to earn almost double what
Yes,
locals make.
this is true.
For the same work.
the same work.
Eventually I grew sick of it and decided to try the school system. And then
That is fucking ballsy, but yeah.
my dad heard of an opening in that SJKC because his friend works there. And so his friend got me on board. And well, shall I get into the good and bad of it now? Okay,
This is
first
the
of all,
time.
I don't want to say that my experience there was completely negative. I'd say it's 60% positive. No, 70% positive, 30% negative. Let's put it this way. There are many good aspects to these schools. For example, they take education very, very seriously. And discipline is also taken very seriously. And certainly they have a culture of respect. Like every student has to bow before the teacher if they meet the teacher in the hallway.
What the fuck?
It's
That's a
like
bow.
Japan.
It's like
They-
Japan?
Yeah. And that's good. I like this. But
Yeah, but we don't bend that much.
nah, it's just like this.
Just go like a cool nod.
Yes. Yes. And the students were great, actually. For the most part, the students were great. But gosh, I want to say things about the head of department. Oh, it's okay. I haven't mentioned the school name, right?
No.
Oh,
Are you allowed to?
no, I'm not going to.
Oh, why not?
I think I would rather not tarnish the image of that school because it's still I have lots of fond memories and I have lots of students who graduated from there that I like.
You know, it's like in this podcast, I feel like I'm kind of second poye. Kuncheng, is it? Marcel.
CH actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Okay.
Oh, good.
I think you mentioned it on your YouTube
Yes.
channel.
Oh, yes.
We can always bleep it out if you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to mention the head of department's
Bro,
name?
to be honest, right?
Yeah.
I feel in life, okay, so people who are listening and are watching this, all right, you have to take note, right, that this video is set in this time, in this era, in which we are in this border where we can say things and cannot say things. And times can change, where you can go to a time where you can say more.
Yes.
Or a time where you can say less. So when you're watching this fucking video or you're listening to this podcast, please be aware that when we say things, it's based on people's experiences at that time. You have to really just take it in.
Well, I'll just call her Molly. Molly, the Karen who was leading the English department, who was barely able to string a proper English sentence together. Utterly incompetent. She did a Christian's Bible studies
Wow.
as in Canada. She was like, she'd be like, God sees everything you know. You all are if you talk about me behind my back, I will know. And then basically at first she was civilized to me, right? In the first few months, but she did tell me, you have to learn Mandarin, yeah? You have to learn some form of Chinese because if you don't learn Chinese, then the people will look down on you, you know. That's what she told me. But because I didn't learn Chinese, I just took that as a suggestion rather than an order. She started to turn absolutely nasty. And she even, well, she was nasty to another teacher, an Indian man as well.
Oh, wow.
A crippled Indian man as well.
Oh my lord, bro! This woman is relentless,
She was
mate.
relentless. I don't know whether it was racial or not. I'm not going to say. But she actually said to me, "You are not fit to be a teacher." Once, but I
she said it to the Indian guy.
not to me.
wow.
But the thing is, she was very, she got so nasty. I finally said that your behavior is not appropriate. I told her finally before I left. I knew I was on my way out. That how you treated me was inappropriate. Then she said, "I'm very sorry. Can you please forgive me?" And then after that, she wrote a bad performance review at the end of the year, and I was out.
This conversation took place in Mandarin.
No, in English in 2018. I can't speak Mandarin.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't able to speak a lick of Mandarin at that time.
Wow.
But what other like nasty things apart from you're not fit?
What else did she say? You are not fit to be a teacher. And, she was just very, very hostile towards me. Like, for example, Christopher, take notes, yeah? And I was really taking notes and she'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, that
so
sucks. That
It
sucks.
does.
Why would she
it's
ask you to
intentional.
take notes?
Intentional.
It's very intentional.
Yeah,
This kind of
because-
person, they want to put you down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she had bee in her bonnet about me and some other teachers whom she felt did not conform to the mold of what the Chinese school is supposed to be. I don't think she was very happy that I taught every student how to sing My Way. And My Way is...
Wait, Limp Bizkit version or Frank Sinatra's?
yeah, Frank's and now the end is near. And so okay, no.
I thought it was My Way or the Highway. Yo.
No, it's probably not.
I'm too old for that. I'm a boomer.
No, he's both of you guys the same. We just changed choice of music. So when you were in the Chinese school and she was putting you down, and you took that for a whole year.
I did, but I snapped. I finally snapped and I told her it wasn't appropriate how she was talking. But at that point, I knew my fate had been sealed. And then finally, at the end of the year, the deputy head actually said, the deputy principal actually said to me, we have done a performance review and we feel that you would be better suited to an international school, she said. And to be fair, I was. I found that I got nothing but good feedback in an international school.
Yeah, I was going to get to that because in your video or in your community posts, you did mention how the feedback was so contrasting when it came to the Chinese school performance reviews versus the international school reviews. The international school reviews, some of the parents even personally thanked you.
Yes, they still do today.
They personally thank you for like your ability to relate to the student,
And they're
to
still-
connect. Yeah.
They're still sending me students even today.
Yeah,
They're
which is-
recommending me to their friends. So obviously it cannot be me. It must be the head of department at that school.
It could also be the school, right? Like in a way,
Culture,
the head minister did. Was it the head?
The deputy,
headmaster, sorry, yeah.
deputy principal. She.
So the deputy principal did also say that you're more cut
Yeah.
out to be in an international school. So I think they did identify that. It's just
Yeah.
the way they do it sometimes can be a bit like aggressive.
Perhaps I wasn't suited to the culture of that place. In all fairness,
Bro, I just want to say, right, on behalf of all fucking bananas out there, right, you have the cojones to go and fucking go teach English in a Chinese school.
I don't have a problem with Chinese school people. Actually,
It's not about having a problem or not. It's just like, I was speaking to my wife about this, and my wife speaks Mandarin. She did go to a Chinese school. So a bit of context, right? I know it's sidetracking a little fucking bit, right? But
Hey, there's Yum-Cha sessions, man.
that's true.
we can say anything we want.
So basically, I've been in this. I never argue with my wife on anything. And
Oh,
this-
smart man.
no, I don't, because I'm always on agreement with her with most things. Or either that or I don't give a fuck, so she can make a decision. And I'm okay with that. I'm a flexible person. I don't care. Right? And she's a very supportive wife. So when I have to do the podcast, when I have to work late, I have to travel, she's like, just do what you gotta do, man. The one thing that we have this, I wouldn't say an argument, but I would say it's a very strong disagreement, is how to raise your child. Right. So for me, I am in the camp of your child should make the decision where he or she wants to study, because that's what was given to me. And I feel like it's fair if I gave my child that.
And I agree with you.
At what age though?
Bro, after Tadika, they can decide. And I know you're thinking, you're like, bro, this is a child. He is or she is 6. What in the world would this child know? However, I believe that personally, because I went through it, if the child learns to make a decision as young as 6 years old, they will know that your decisions come with repercussions. It comes with things. I will obviously ask them, what school do you want to go to? Do you want to go to a private school? You want to go to international school? You want to go to a Chinese school? You want to go to a public school? I can drive you around. I'll bring you to every type of school. And I want you to look at it and I want you to make a very solid decision. And you need to tell me why. So if you tell me why, and I'll tell you, you sure? You have to commit to this. You have to commit minimum 3 years.
At 6 years old?
Yes. Because that's when you know. I can tell you this, right? A lot of kids, right, I feel, and this is just how I feel, okay? Jen disagrees. Jen says, send Chinese school, don't think so much. Okay? I believe that the kid should go through this because the kid will know, oh my God, there are good things and bad things when it comes to making this decision. He might be very unhappy, could be very lazy. There are things that change. And then I'll be like looking at it. You see, the past 3 years, this, that. This is what's going on with you. Then I will make the decision after that. I want them to know that there are changes when you make decisions like that. Because I feel that when you tell a kid what to do, the kid is eventually going to be like, what am I going to do next? And then a lot of kids, when they hit high school, they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I want you to know when you make decisions, it comes with things.
I guess what you're trying to teach is you got to own up to the decisions that you
have
make,
to, yeah.
rather than whether the school is good or not. You know, I want you to at least learn this life lesson from this.
I also
age.
feel I'm a very rebellious person. If Jen and I had this kid and we were to send this kid to a Chinese school because Jen says so, I can tell you my kid will resent Jen. Because they'll be like, Mommy, tell me to do it. Why should I care? Tell me what to do. I'll eat. Whatever. I'm your prisoner.
So what happens if your kid is not rebellious then?
If my kid is not rebellious, right? I feel that my kid would be like, okay, I'll tell you, you should make a decision. You know? And then Jen will say, send to Chinese school. So my kid will be torn, right, between two. Just for context, I'm not going to say where I stay. I'm not going to say, please don't say where we are. I stay very near a public school. And I'm like, look, the public school is just down the road. You can walk to school and you can walk back home. Or do you want to take public transport or take a bus and whatever to a further Chinese school? Which one do you want? Because if you send Chinese school, then, obviously then you are going to settle everything lah. But if it's down the road, our kid can walk to school and walk back. And your community is all around you. So your friends are there, they play at the park and everything. So I think it's very convenient. So it's up to you what you want to choose. So if Jen is still adamant, she's like, send to Chinese school, I don't care. Okay, then you figure out the logistics. Then if my kid is the so-called not so rebellious, he'll be like, okay, I'll follow lah. It's up to you lah. But if my kid starts to resent the Chinese school, he'll relate that to resenting Jen. Because it's like, Mommy told me to go there. There's no choice that was given to me anyway.
Fair.
Just like playing piano, just like learning how to play a sport, many things when you force a child to do, they will end up going, do I really have to? Yeah, do it. But it's not their decision. It was your decision as a parent. Don't you feel?
Well, I have a friend, no, actually it's my dad's friend whose daughter did an accounting degree. And then after her 3 years of accounting, she gave the degree to her father and said, all right, this is your degree. I'm going to do culinary arts now. That was my passion. So I agree with you, John. When you force people to do things they don't like, they might do it just to please you if you're the parent.
You just wasted a lot of time.
He's just wasted 3 years of fees, right?
Yeah.
So it's
At the same time, I have a friend who decided to study fine arts. Went to a country. Came back and something bad happened in the other country and the whole life is messed up. Something to do with sex and murder.
awful.
Jesus Christ.
And that's all because this person was making decisions at an age where the brain is not developed yet.
I see.
So I guess it depends. Yeah.
Yeah. It's possible also.
Yeah.
It's possible. But it's a hard lesson to learn. But at least you're young when you make that lesson.
No, that guy never recovered, man.
Oh, fuck.
The same age as me. Never recovered.
Till today, he's still traumatized.
Yeah. And I should not say further.
No, I think you're not comfortable sharing, I understand.
I'm comfortable with sharing.
You don't have to mention his name.
I just feel that person is not ready to have this go out there.
When they're ready, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have to know the kid, right? You probably get a sense.
Yeah.
6, 7 years old, right? And you can tell, some kids run faster. So those that are slower, then you probably have to take control more.
It is,
Then-
man, because my mom runs a babysitting business. And for many years, since I was 10 years old, there's always been kids around me. So I always see the development of a baby to a toddler. 6 years old is just too soon. But yes, there are some kids that are exceptionally smart and fast, and you can tell. But most kids are not like that.
Bro, everything my parents made me do, I hated it. I hated it. I'm just like, I'm only here because my parents told me to do it.
But then your brother has a different experience.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
yeah.
Your attitude about how you approach
I think
things. is
I think
very
the if you can say the mistake your parents made is to have sort of with a hammer, everything is a nail, every problem's a nail kind of thing. So like what they do probably work better with your brother.
Or maybe
but not
because
you.
you're the first child syndrome.
Yeah, or whatever lah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you know?
Yeah. But I suppose I'll cross the bridge when I get there, right? Eventually, I just don't want to argue with Jen. So if Jen says, go send to Chinese school, I'm like, then you figure it out, man.
You have like 5 to 6 years before that
Yeah,
happens,
it's okay.
right? So
Yeah.
don't
So I'll
worry
cross the bridge
about
when
it
I
now.
get there. Yeah.
Just take the path of less resistance and say, sure. Yes.
For me, I feel like it's fine. It's okay. As long as she's gonna settle every logistic nightmare when it comes to sending the kid further, it's up to you.
I think she wants the kid
You gotta speak nearer
to
to the mic,
learn. I think she wants the kid to learn Mandarin or Chinese.
Definitely,
some form,
definitely.
Chinese culture.
Yeah.
Because the worry I think your wife has is that the kid might lose touch and become a degenerate banana like us. That's what.
Oh.
Sorry, I don't mean to put down your wife.
My
I'm not-
friend, I feel the same way.
Really? Don't be like your father.
Yeah, exactly.
I share the same sentiment.
So I want to ask, I'm a banana myself as well. But I'm gonna
He
send.
speaks Cantonese. It's not the same.
No, I am a banana,
Sorry.
but
You can adjust it as well.
But I feel somewhat. How do I put this? I like the idea of going back to my Chinese roots. So that's why I gravitate towards some things that are Chinese.
Yeah.
But growing up as a teenager, of course, no lah. I'm all about the whole Linkin Park wrestling life.
Yeah.
Not about the China, all this kind of stuff. Not that I'm about the China life. But if I have a kid, I'll send a kid to Chinese school too, instead of like, first choice is definitely international and private school.
Oh, is it?
For me. Second choice, if I don't have that much money, it will be Chinese school. Because obviously Malay school, which is where I learned from as well. But still, it's like your network will be much bigger in Chinese school, and there are a lot of added benefits that I feel.
Definitely, I think it's well funded. I think the facilities are much better, and it's not like it's freaking far away. I know, if you all have the context where I stay, right? You all know where. So I think like it's not like it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
I just feel like it warrants a discussion rather than
Yeah, let's
like
discuss
a
about
like
it.
it warrants a discussion. Like I mean, between Jen and myself, I always feel like the kid can make a decision, but if the kid is not up for it, then we can decide. But I feel like when she's like, no, we're pouring sand on this. We're not even discussing this. This is a non-negotiable. That's when I feel.
Yeah.
Why would
kinda
you
tough,
do this type of thing?
Yeah.
I feel she has a stereotype against the international private school kids as well.
Oh, really?
She said my mom had the same thing as well.
Well, what's the
is it?
stereotype?
That you'd be spoiled.
Snobbish,
You'd be spoiled, and then you come home wanting what all those rich kids want.
And you'll
really?
be doing all sorts of antisocial things like drugs, alcohol, and all these, and partying. They're worried. That's a stereotype they have of international school kids. And to be fair, I don't think that stereotype is completely unfounded.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, because
Wait, are you going to jeopardize your job? Are you working in international school right now?
No, I'm not. I'm a freelancer. so I can
Fantastic
say
shit on it. Oh,
anything I want.
go on, my friend.
Well, yes, international schools and private schools are full of Tan Sri's kids and Wan Sri's kids. And those people have, shall we say, a lot of disposable income, if you want to call it disposable income, from mommy and daddy's payroll. So, these people, their liberty with money is really a matter for reproach. They spend more money than a yuppie does,
Mate, I know because I made the decision to go to a private school. Yeah. So as a kid,
would know.
my parents laid out all the schools for me. They brought me to every single school and they asked me which one would I choose. I said I choose a private school. Okay. I was like, I know. Because they even gave me the pros and cons, So you told me if you go to Chinese school, you're going to be working really hard. Okay, but you're gonna be able to do business very well. You know, you're gonna be able to speak 3 languages very well. You know,
Mandarin school.
yeah.
3 languages. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
So you get Malay, they speak Malay also, right?
I think they're overselling the bit lah. But
Is
anyways,
it? Yeah.
no, I think you just learn one language very well lah.
Oh,
Mandarin school.
I do
Right?
think they can speak Malay, just not perhaps not as well as, for most of them, not as well as they would in government school.
Oh, is
But
it?
The big issue with SGKC is that you can learn the technicalities of BM.
You're not practicing it.
Yeah, because you don't speak to Malays. Like I always give this example, right? Like I even tell some of my guys that work with me. I say when you speak Malay, don't speak it the way a Chinese would. So don't say terima kasih, right? Like in my Grab, I try to say like terima kasih, right? Because there's like a
Yeah.
Yes.
So I learned when you use the accent of the originator,
It feels like
you create less distractions. Somehow, right, it's subconscious. If I speak Malay in a
colloquial way.
yes, and it just affects the brain. I don't know how to fully describe, but it will distract the person.
I can beautifully simplify this. Basically, you make that person feel at ease.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You code switch lah for that.
Yeah, because when you speak, because I was doing like last couple of weeks, I was working in Ampang for like 4 days non-stop, speaking to so many people. I think I spoke to at least 4,000 people over 4 days.
oh, code switching is absolutely necessary in Malaysia.
Okay, I can tell you,
Yes.
on my 4th day, my Malay was immaculate. If you close your eyes, you wouldn't be able to tell. I would sound damn Malay. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Because after you say, you would start off the first day saying terima kasih.
Yeah.
Because see,
Then after it, masih.
Then on WhatsApp you type XBLH. You know?
But I think so when they laid out those options for me, I decided to go to private school because I felt like they told me the quality of education there is the best. But mommy and daddy have to work really hard.
Oh,
and
yes.
maybe you can't study overseas.
they'll never let you forget that, right?
Yeah. They were like, I'm just telling you right now.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, it's okay. If I learn English in the future, it's okay. It's all going to be okay. Because I see America, I see cartoons, there's only opportunity with English. And when I see my mom and dad working, they work in English. I'm like, okay, that is the decision I am making. They told me you go to Malay school, right? You make a lot of good friends because my dad's from Malacca. So my dad's like, you will meet a lot of good friends. You will spend time with the community. You will have friends that you will spend your whole life with. Even when you're 50, you still want to hang out with them. And I'm like, wow. But I really want a good education. So I don't want to be a dumbass. Hey. So I decided, okay, I'm going to pick the middle path because it's like the
Buddha.
yeah, in a way, right? Not so hardcore, not so easy, but at the same time, like it's quality, but I might not get a college education. So 3-4 years in, I realized that a lot of the kids are very demanding of what they want.
Yeah.
So in standard 1, when I go to school, it's fine. And I don't really think much about it. But my friend was saying how he had a PlayStation 1. Other friend says he's got a Game Boy Color. Other friend says I got all the Pokemon.
Times have changed. Now 10-year-old boys
Have
have
an iPhone.
iPhones and Nintendo Switch as well.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old student from China has a beautiful Nintendo Switch, which is his dad got it for him. And he didn't. I asked him, did you do very well in your exams? No, he just felt like getting it for me.
Yeah, but that's
That's what he
just
said.
got money, right?
Yeah,
So
Shanghai.
when I went back and I constantly asked my parents like, hey, can I get a PlayStation? They're like, no. It don't work that way. End of the year, I'll be like, are we going anywhere for holiday? My parents are like, yeah, we're going overseas. Oh shit, wait. Overseas union. Oh my fucking God. So like,
Hey, it's 20 kilometers from here, man.
yeah, it's quite far lah. But basically, they just labeled the neighborhood, right? So I think it was like in standard 2 when I realized like there's this comparison game going on, and I never really got this. So you guys can jump in, right? You just tell me, right? When you were young, right? Did kids compare houses? Like what type of house did you stay in?
Not to my recollection.
No, right?
I
What about
didn't
you?
have this experience.
A bit.
Like you stay in terrace, you stay in semi-D, you stay in bungalow.
Got lah.
Got.
But you know the school I was in, right? Government school. It was a honorary private school, basically.
So you would
People
get
had private school. The parents had private school money, but they sent to that government school because
Quality.
it was a cluster school. Yeah.
So because of this hierarchy and this like class distinguishing, conversations, right? It's when I
That's
start.
why we need socialism, my
Oh my
friend.
lord!
Oh,
no,
I'm
we
sorry.
don't, we don't.
I'm just kidding.
I was thinking to myself, like, my brother is going to be joining this school soon as well. I don't know whether Andrew is the type that will be very influenced easily if he were to hang out with people like that. So I didn't think too much about it. Standard 3 comes, same conversations go on, etc., etc. So my brother is 3 years younger than I am, and when I go to Standard 4, he joins. He goes to Standard 1. And then Andrew starts to change. Andrew's like, John, we gotta save money, man. We gotta buy a PlayStation 2, man. Then I'm like, yes, but mommy and daddy work very hard to send us to school here. And he's like, so?
I can't blame him. He's a teenager. So
No,
you can't-
he's only 7, mate.
7. Oh, 7. Sorry.
Yeah, he's in Standard 1. And I'm like,
of course he wouldn't know. Yes.
yeah, then I'm like, oh my God, this is not the right way to think, man.
We were teenagers when PS2 came out.
It seemed so advanced back then, right? When we thought it was high tech.
It was like, I was 10, 11 when the PS2 came out. So Andrew was like, we're ready, we should save. We already
were
have a
12.
PlayStation 1. We gotta get PlayStation 2. And I'm just like, it's not everything. You should spend time with mommy and daddy. Because I'm like the good old brother, right? I'm like, no, you should,
Very
play tennis with dad.
What a loser.
Bro, such a loser. Then after Andrew's like, John, fuck that, man. I want a PS2. Then I'm like, I think this is not the. No. So I spoke to my dad, and I told my dad, like, hey, I think maybe we should go to government school. Like, I don't think the environment here is good, man. Like, the kids here are kind of snobby and they.
And it influenced your brother as well, right?
I feel like it maybe did, and I just don't want him to go down the wrong path. So I just told my dad, I'm like, I don't think this is gonna work out, man. If we continue to be here. My dad says, okay, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. You don't go and tell me you switch school, switch again, And this is when I realized, when I made that decision as a kid, it came with repercussions, right? Then I'm like, oh fuck, man.
But it's like a lot of kids didn't have the same option as you
100%, 100%.
which is like, oh, you chosen already. Yeah. You think you can choose? You think you can switch school now? You're stuck here, man, for the next 6 years.
For sure. I had this same belief as well because I also thought that, you're stuck here. Deal with it.
Yeah.
But my uncle brought up a very interesting point because when he said that he sent his kid to private school, she was very clear with what was going on. But she said, but the education is worth it. It's not worth changing school. So my uncle was like, you sure? Yeah. And she said that it's okay. I will go through this. And then she wanted to learn ballet. And ballet is not a very cheap sport, right? It's not like, you can go and play football with friends and all that shit. So it's quite expensive because you got to get the uniform, you got to go for classes, you got to be flexible, And he said that, look, ballet is really expensive, in KL especially. So if you want to commit, you better commit for at least 1 year. And then you can tell me whether so she's like 3 months in, she was crying. Classes were so fucking painful because you have to bend your toes and shit. Yeah. And then she was doing splits every day and she's like, my God, my legs are killing me. And he's like, no, I don't care. You're sticking to it at least for a year. So that's when I think she also too learned that whole you have to go through life knowing that sometimes your decisions end up being a long-term commitment you do not like. It is part of life. A lot of things so that's why, right, when I went to the US and I decided I wanted to rent a house, I had the fear, I'm like, wow, commitment-wise is 2 years. And you understand the commitment in it. You understand what it comes with paying a deposit. It comes with, you have to pay the rent every month. This is the value of it. And you have to be stuck here for the next 2 years. You got to figure it out, man, if shit goes wrong,
Yeah, I totally agree, man.
But some kids are like, I don't know, just tell me what to do. And I feel like when I have many conversations, especially when I was younger, people are so impressed. They're like, wow, John, how can you just make a decision? I'm like, I know what's going to happen. But kids are, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Most kids are like, I don't know.
I agree. Most kids let their parents dictate their lives for them.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's a lot easier than making your own decision. So your parents were trying to get you to...
I don't know whether my parents would make a conscious decision that they were doing this. Yeah. I think they were working and they just said like, oh, John seems to have a
mature mind.
Analytical. He's like seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
So okay lah, you just trust him lah. But I realized like, oh, it comes with downfalls. It comes with ups. It comes with downs. So that's why I felt like I think it's quite necessary for a kid to learn this fast. That's why right. There's this thing called analysis paralysis.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah,
What's that?
this. You
just think too much.
Yeah, you think too much. You read too much until you start.
You just hang gay. You're like, I don't know what to do. There's too many options.
You're overwhelmed after you.
But that's why I feel I'm a very decisive person. I'm like, we just do it. We can do it. We'll fuck up, but then we'll do good things as well.
So I heard you are like the ultimate banana supporter, is it?
I'm
No, the thing was there was a video.
My friend, this guy is the champion.
Yeah.
So I have no context, you know.
Yeah.
These guys know who
People
you are.
kept calling him like, I mean, they were being chauvinistic about it, right? Like you, maybe you can share
Yeah, give me
your
the full
experience.
story. I have no idea what's going on.
well.
Maybe we can start with
Where do you want
what
to begin?
was okay. So you grew up with a lot of hostility from the Chinese.
Well,
Right.
it's usually in the form of passive aggression, more like
Yes.
microaggressions. Like, so what do you speak? Okay, if you can't speak Mandarin, do you speak any dialect? What dialect do you speak? I said, I don't speak anything. Don't you want to learn? But you are Chinese, ma. I mean, you must learn some Chinese, right? That's passive aggressiveness that you would meet among classmates. Like I went to Sunway College 1 year.
Oh, you worked there? Or you?
No, I studied there.
Okay.
I did my Monash Foundation year there, but I went to Adelaide. And then also sometimes when this is just a very rare occurrence, right? Passive aggressiveness. But I decided, because, I felt a bit alienated by the mainstream Chinese community in Malaysia, I decided to air our frustrations out. I'm sure many of us share my frustrations, right?
MJ doesn't share it, but I share it the most.
No. I do because I'll my story later. But
His story is very different.
And then I started getting a lot of hatred from these Chinese ultras. A lot of these people, one of them, I think a guy on Twitter said, Comrade Confucius is a disgrace and embarrassment. All his tweets basically stem from the same place.
Yeah.
His sense of outrage at being chewed up for not speaking Chinese. Oh, and
It's quite.
because of his hurt pride. It's pathetic. And then, recently somebody compared me to Ridwan T even. I don't
It's very familiar.
he's a Malay Muslim.
Well, Ridwan T is actually a
bald Malay
Chinese
Muslim guy.
fellow who converted to Islam, and now he's a very right-wing
Oh, is it?
Malay nationalist type.
It's like the Firdaus guy. lah.
Firdaus Wong, yes, he's like the,
Firdaus Wong.
Same,
older
yeah.
Firdaus Wong, yeah. I got compared to Ridwan T by one of them. And let's see, another one was saying that, these bananas, they think they're superior to normal Chinese people. Note the word normal,
Yeah.
as if we are abnormal. They think just because they speak English, they think they're so high class. But, meanwhile, anybody with half a brain is learning Mandarin because of the opportunities it presents. So it seems to me when they say that we think we're superior to them, it's actually projection. Because note what he said, anybody with half a brain is learning Chinese, right? So what's the implied message?
Mate.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand all of this, and I understand we can go into the depths of how they can be projecting, how can it's possible they're masking their insecurities. It's a lot. It's a huge bag, lah, right, of shit that we need to unpack.
Yeah.
I just want to know, right, what was the kick that made you want to start this YouTube channel?
Oh, it
What
was
was
not even being a banana crusader.
It was not. It was history and everything.
No,
right?
it was socialism.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually a member of the Party Socialist Malaysia, and I don't associate the channel with the party because that might cause their image to suffer a bit. But I do my best to help that party, and I am a socialist. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm just I try to use that channel to educate the masses and to breed class consciousness. And what frustrates me about these ultras, whether it be Chinese ultras or Malay ultras, I don't see any Indian ultras. But
There are, but
they are okay.
They are.
But it's that they're trying to breed race consciousness. Like, we are all Chinese, we are all Malay. Meanwhile, I'm trying to unite the working class together to see ourselves as workers first and race second, regardless of the racial politics or the dynamics between the races. I'm trying to breed solidarity between the workers.
Unity, yeah.
And these ultras, these race ultras, are not making my job any easier. That's what annoys me as well.
I
Because
mean, they're just the complete opposite.
Well, what's very weird to me is that Chinese ultras will go after a socialist and B, someone's channel called Comrade Confucius. That is very perplexing to me just because you do not read. In fact, you I don't know, maybe you can share it. Like you're anti-USA But you like Americans? I know there was like a tagline you wrote somewhere.
Oh, I hate America, but I love the American people, I assure
So
you.
they would, I would imagine that these Chinese ultras would see you as an ally, which
They
is the
should.
weirdest thing.
They should see me as an
It doesn't
ally.
make sense.
I guess maybe when you say a lot of ultra Chinese people are targeting you, are you like getting a lot of hate mails and
A lot of hate
Twitter,
comments,
yeah.
oh, is it? And they go into like thousands or
Oh no, just I don't
A few hundred.
a few hundred. Yeah.
Oh, that's still quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe what they're trying to do is that they're trying to make an example out of you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how name we.
Namawi.
Namawi.
Yeah, I know that
You
guy.
know, it's like the ultra Malays is just trying to use him as an example to further their objective. You know,
What are they doing to him to further their narrative?
basically it's all about like this guy is trying to put us down. He's causing the harm in the whether if it's the race or the religion side of things, and you know whatever he does, you know, it tends to be in the spotlight. But not only that, he also knows how to play the game as well. So I guess maybe if you're getting like that hundreds of like comments from ultra Chinese, maybe you have now become the target within that sphere to help them further their message.
You know, to add to your point, Vincent, I think the ultra Chinese are using the bananas in order to use as a boogeyman on what we do not want the Chinese community to become. You know, because as you know, the right-wing Malay ultras keep threatening to close down Chinese vernacular schools. But of course, they can't do that because it's within the constitution that you can have Chinese schools. But the Chinese ultras are very, very afraid for their own survival, I think. So they need to show an example of what would happen to the Chinese if we lost our vernacular schools. They would be just like John and Chris, right? So I think the bananas are used as an example of what the Chinese could possibly become. Rootless, cultureless degenerates.
So then the question is, why is that an issue? Now, what is interesting is that because you're a Peranakan, so what the hell are your roots, right? Honestly, right? It's so different from what their conception is, because your roots are, you can say, mixed. Whereas, I mean, for us, it's
My
But what's the issue?
sailorman ancestor got on a boat hundreds of years ago, and he, you know, he married a Southeast Asian woman, and you know, I have no connection to China beyond my last name. That's all. And I don't, they seem to think I hate other Chinese people, but I get along really well with my Chinese students. And I even brought some friends from China to Malacca recently, and I took them around. They were very grateful. I have no problem getting along with Chinese people from China.
I also want to echo that.
You know,
This is how I feel as well.
Here's the thing, you know, it's like bananas have never felt like as if we are more superior. It's just the what do you call it? The chinas?
I think maybe a small minority. Yeah.
Really?
My theory is this: why they feel bananas are like that, and I think the reason is, they tend to have conservative cultures, right? They tend to not speak up and all that because it's some form of like they see it as an affront for whatever reason. So when you are English educated, typically, even if you are educated in the British version, let alone the American one, you tend to be more
Vocal.
you tend to be more vocal, right? And I noticed this at my former work as well. I would come out and try to take initiatives. Even though I was like the youngest or the newest guy there, I would be like, hey, let's
is
do this.
threat.
But they see it as a threat, and then somehow that morphs into like arrogance, or you think you're better. That's why now you are trying to take initiative, which, of course, for most of us who are English educated, it's like,
No,
we're just trying to
For us, we're just trying to live our life.
Mind our own business.
just or maximize like success. in-
taking initiative.
But I think that's to add to MJ's point, and MJ, I absolutely agree with you that they see it as arrogance because they are not used to taking initiative, and they feel that when you are outspoken, you are not giving people face, and you don't know your place.
Bullshit.
And yeah, that's how they feel. I think.
I think that statement is gonna hurt a lot of the ultra Chinese feeling because when you say it's like a lot of them don't take the initiative, but I'm sure a lot of them do. So they might actually take that and say, "No, you're wrong. You're doing exactly the same thing."
Initiative can mean many things, right? It can be demonstrated via action. It can also be demonstrated via being vocal. It's just that for them, they only can do action because it is within their culture / upbringing to not be vocal. It's kind of like, and I'm not saying this is just for Chinese, right? I think this is honestly like the way a majority of the education system is as a whole. Like most of the time, a lot of teachers will tell you, shut up, Just listen to what we say, memorize. That's not just a Chinese school thing, it's also a Malay school thing. So if you were to graduate and you go overseas, right? And you study amongst like Australians, the British and like the Americans, whatever lah, as long as it's Western, you would realize that you need to really be vocal or you will fail. That's it. It's just the way it is because that's their perception. Oh, you better send them overseas because it's a better education. So ironically, they want you to learn Mandarin, but then they also want to send you there, but they don't send you to Asian country. But whatever, I digress. If you were to be sent to China, right, to study, suddenly you are spectacular because you're just a great like memorizer / input person. You don't need to output, just input. So I think for them, they're feeling it's almost as if their culture is to their disadvantage now.
Yes.
I do think it's to their disadvantage because first of all, most of the I'm just gonna call them China because that's the term, right? What else can I say?
Ultra.
They call us worse things than China, so go ahead, fire away.
So ultra Chinese or
Or
China.
the ching-chongs or the links.
Most of the time they're stuck in a situation is because they have to play in a field where the bananas are thriving, which is in the medium of English, whether if it's work or other things like that. But if we are, but if they have to operate in a fully Chinese environment, then they're good. So because now suddenly they have to be in a foreign place, it makes them feel insecure.
Yeah.
And that makes them feel exactly like whatever they felt.
Yeah.
So for whatever where we say that they are not taking initiative, they're not vocal enough, but if it's in the field that they're comfortable in, yeah, they are taking initiative and they are being vocal as well. So I don't think we should say that, these people are, because exactly whatever we're saying right here is exactly what they say that we say of them. We're putting them down. We think we're superior. We think they're not vocal. We think they're not taking initiative. But if they are in their own field, they're doing exactly the same thing.
But the thing is, I don't think bananas initiate offense more than even per capita versus
Chinese
ching-chongs.
ultras. Yeah.
So just now I was thinking, all right, I was recalling to the times where I don't think bananas put down the ching-chongs. Then suddenly I recall, because of the media that we consume, or let's just say concerts, right? Oh, American concerts, Western concerts are so much better. Then when you take a look at Chinese concerts, they're doing this kind of stuff. We may give them this feeling.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But they have many of these ultras have egos the size of Jupiter, and which with a diameter of a balloon, so it's so easy to prick their massive ego. So if they say, if they ask you, do you speak Chinese? And I say, no, I don't. And then you just stop it at, no, I don't. Then they take offense. But if you say, no, I don't, but it's such a wonderful language, it's such an interesting language, I hope to learn it someday, then they won't take offense.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's a fucking life hack I should have
That's a life hack you gotta suck their balls and really slobber their cocks and really like
It's actually very interesting with
all giving face.
with China. And then, I mean, if you're a history guy, maybe you appreciate. I find this very unique that it only comes from China. In China, there has been a few dynasties, but there has been a couple where it was run by non-Han Chinese, namely the Yuan and the Qing. And the Qing is one of the big five dynasties. For those who don't know, the Qing are the ones where the first half of the head are bald, and then behind it's like
long ponytail.
long ponytail, right? I found it very interesting that they call it Chinese because these are either Mongolian or like Manchurian guys. And they say, yes, it's true, they are not Han Chinese, but when they came here, they assimilated with the Han Chinese culture, and then they used the bureaucratic machinery that is built by China, like the whole systems of ministries and rights and Confucianism and all that stuff, right? So that is very unique because then it's almost like they're saying, you know what, you can militarily dominate us, but hey, you still like our
system,
like the reason you come after us
it's because you want our system.
you want to be like us. So they'll be like, yeah, it's all right, you kill a few thousand of us, but hey, you like our stuff. Part of the reason why they hate the West is because the West was the first where they militarily subjugate them,
but they didn't want it.
They didn't want it, but they just wanted money. They just like, you know what, I just want opium. I just want to sell opium and just take the money and just piss off back to the UK. That was the real insult.
Because they didn't want their culture.
Yeah. And then I can even share you this particular visit, right? It's called the first McCarthy. It's the McCarthy expedition.
I think you brought this up before. But okay.
So he went into the Qing court and then he asked like, let's do trade. So China's like, no, we don't do trade. Trade implies equality. But we give you gifts. Because we have everything we need and you have nothing we need. So we're going to give you stuff like, and you are just patronage and you just give us stuff because we are the Celestial Empire. That they don't see trade. There's no trade ministry in China. There's this thing called barbarian management. Everyone is barbarians, yes. There's like sea barbarians.
Land.
That's why they call white people like Guaylo, right? It's just, or Ang Mo, right? It's just red hair, right? So when they told the guys, the McCarthy, right, the first British guy to step foot, I think, or at least in the official capacity with the Qing court, McCarthy, they asked McCarthy, you know what? No trade. We don't care about all your little inventions. I don't care. Even though it was like top-notch inventions, but you must bow to the emperor. So McCarthy was thinking, it's like, okay, we can. One condition. If you bow to my queen, which was Queen Victoria at that point in time, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was King George.
King George, yes.
Yeah, Victoria came a century later.
This was the King George with the US independence, George, right? The
George
same.
III, yeah. McCarthy met Emperor Qianlong actually.
Yes,
and then,
correct.
they asked him to kowtow before the emperor, right? And after that, McCarthy said, I would do that if you would also kowtow before the portrait, if the emperor would kowtow before the portrait of the king. But didn't work out.
So that is the psyche. So now we transport, like, how is this even relevant to today, the way we think? And I think alluding to what you said, that is they just don't like the fact that just culturally, even today, like, I mean, relatively, the West can't bully China anymore, or even Asian societies, right? Militarily or by force, but the whole the soft power, and you can even argue China is more Western than people think, right? They're communists. It came from Russia or
Karl Marx was
right?
a German.
Yeah, it was German. Engels, and they were living in Manchester, and the experiences were very UK oriented, European industrial. Yes. When Chairman Mao wanted to bring China up, they was always comparing steel productions with
the West,
with Britain specifically. We're gonna do that, right? So in a way, it's very Western, and I think they hate that, right? They hate the fact that we have built this cultural thingy right up for 2,000 years, and in come these startups essentially, because America is 250 years old. The UK was basically a shithole when the Tang Dynasty was at the top of their game. And they just come in, and so they don't like. And I just want to add, right? Like, it's not only just that the people in China are failing. Like I always say, you can say that the day China becomes a true cultural force is when this happens. I just thought about it literally 3 days ago. Is when they can come out with a song as iconic as Tonghua.
What is Tonghua?
You guys
wanna know as well.
Tonghua. You don't know Tonghua? Everyone knows.
Can you sing it for us, MJ?
Hey.
起来，
Wait, is it
不愿
the-
做奴隶的人们。
No, it's how to sing already.
我们
Guang Liang. No. It's a Guang Liang song.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You all know what? You all sure know it. Karaoke.
Clueless.
It's a fucking Donghua song.
What's Tonghua? We want to know.
It's called Fairy Tale. Like if you know, right? You know, right?
I don't know.
Vic, you know? See, Indians know the Tonghua.
What is a banana? I don't know.
No, when you hear it, you know. It's what already? Yeah, lah, Guang Liang lah.
灌凉饼干.
Huh? You all know, you sure know, you all hear the
I know
song.
Vingan means biscuit, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I probably butchered the name.
So anyways, my point is,
Wait, I want to fucking play this song.
some random guy from Ipoh comes out with this song and it's an international sensation.
Is it
and
this
you
one?
can't get it. Yeah. I'm sure you all know.
I know the tune. I gotta wait for the melody.
If this song come out, right?
Yeah.
Even bananas will sing. A lot of bananas.
Oh, that reminds me of old days when we would go to the pasar.
Okay,
malam
if you all
and
don't
buy-
know, if you all don't know this one, never mind, fine. Then Teresa Ting, Moonlight represents my heart. Really young type of sing.
Da, da, da,
You know, right?
da, da, da.
Confirm, you know.
Okay. The
The day China comes out is something like that.
So Teresa Teng is not.
Teresa is Taiwanese.
不是中国.
No, but whether you agree they should be one or not, the point is Taiwan is very Americanized. Right?
Yeah.
So they've created that culture, and so I think that's where China is today, and a lot of pro-China guys are that. Like culturally, they have been so backwards in that sense, like leaving an impact. Right? You look at K-pop, you look at Japanese anime, you look at Taiwan. Songs like that, just a simple song. So
I lie that China songs.
Guang Liang was from.
Oh, is
Damn
it?
shit.
We have Michelle Yeoh.
No innovation.
And the problem with China right now is like, okay, what are iconic people? Fan Bingbing, Jack Ma. The minute they reach the top,
And then they disappear for a while.
Yes. Admittedly, China's soft power is not remarkable as of now.
Yeah.
Yes.
could change.
Could, yeah.
But not now,
So, okay, going back to the initial conversation as to how this dynasty thing and then later on this cultural thing, and then is it a face thing ultimately because they feel as if the rest of the world doesn't give them
There's
face?
one American commentator used the word. He called it philosophical assault. Yeah, because you're attacking right at the core identity of a typical Chinese. We are the Middle Kingdom. We are the place where you orbit around us. And so you can't be another person to...
I get it, MJ. I see what you mean now. Because you know what my mom was telling me the other day? They don't like knowing that there are people in Malaysia, Chinese people in Malaysia who can survive without knowing any Chinese because it threatens their own identity because they feel, wait a second, if there are people who are doing fine without the Chinese language or without being Chinese enough, then we have no more grasp over these people. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it threatens their
Not only are just any random person, but their own people.
identity.
AKA...
Yes. So I was a polluting influence in the Chinese school, perhaps, because I was teaching them to think for themselves.
Because you represent everything that they dislike in a sense.
That's
if a white guy can't speak Mandarin, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But when a yellow guy
Yellow guy.
has white blood, is an Anglophile, and he worships the West, so to speak.
I don't worship the West. I merely adopt some of their characteristics.
But it's very interesting. And the reason why I feel that, and it's not me being cocky or anything, is I believe compared to both bananas and ultras, I have a very unique experience, which is that I was set up essentially to be a ching chong. I studied in Mandarin school. I live beside relatives, 5 or 6 of them who spoke exclusively Mandarin or like Hainanese. That's about it. The only people who spoke English to me were my dad, and my mom was like half and half, and then my sister. I go to school. I listen to Mandarin songs. I watch Chinese dramas, Hong Kong dramas. If for those who know, like Nata, the old Wukong, like in the 80s, I watched that. Things like that, Cantonese movies. I was set up to be that. There was only 2 things that prevented that from happening.
Oh no, canon event.
To completely tilt the balance. Barney and Disney.
Barney is a dinosaur in our
I'll tell you what,
imagination. That one, right?
Because most people argue, right? Like they'll say, well, the only reason why you are English educated is because you're Peranakan and you've been, that's a unfair criticism, just as it would be unfair with you guys. Like the only reason you have these views is because of how you were raised. Formally they call this the genetic fallacy, right? Like you're only like that because, you were born with that environment. They can never use that against me because I was literally a science experiment without my parents knowing. I was a kid and there was like 2 plates. And there's the Chinese plate and then there's the Western plate. And the Chinese plate had more food. And I was just a baby and it just left there. And I walk. I tasted Chinese food. Not bad. I enjoy it. But I tasted the West. I said I preferred that. And that's why I didn't do well in Chinese schools. I didn't excel. It wasn't quite suited for me. So I'm like literally a science experiment.
But did you, when you went through your life, right, via Chinese schools, right? I'm very certain you had to go through all the subjects in Chinese as well.
Yeah. So the problem with sorry, why are you asking the question?
I'm asking this question because if it's force fed to you, then why still go to the English one? Is it because you felt like you were forced to? That's why.
Look, I mean, like why am I doing calligraphy?
Huh.
Why?
You ask questions, man.
Why?
It's not very Chinese.
No,
my
like
friend.
it's like no, but it was still internal, right? So like I wanted to quit. My mom said no. My mom's like Jan, right?
Do y'all see a pattern here?
It's like Jan, right? Then even in Form 1, Form 2, I also studied. So it's like whatever. But I like you're so bad, then I just quit. And then by then 14, 15, you kind of have your own mind, and then you can straight away. But the thing is, I just don't know why. And then they would, write like that. Why am I reading this novel and all that? But that's not how Disney educates you. Disney attracts you. It's the whole honey versus vinegar thing. Right? Chinese was vinegar. Like, yeah, it's tough, but you'll be worth it. But then when I see, like, I get images of like watching Beauty and the Beast and that rose scene.
It's
like,
beautiful.
what is going on? Lion King, right? Tarzan.
Hercules.
And there's that. And then there's Barney with.
And then they went to 3D. They went to like A Bug's Life. And then you're like,
A Bug's Life, yeah.
it's mad.
So that, and then movies and all that.
Yeah.
And then you look at Chinese movies, like it's just no comparison, right?
Yeah.
So there was really no fight. But then here's the thing. I do enjoy a lot of Chinese culture. Like I'm a history buff in a way for Chinese stuff. I still follow a lot of Chinese politics. I study Confucianism. I study all these things. So, but why? Because of my interest. Like let's say if I watched, I don't know, if I read, if my introduction is not like, so for context, if you study in the Mandarin school, you learn two things at the start. It's called 听写 and 生字. So
can you
听写
verify
is
this thing?
Listen, right. So what they'll do is they'll give you two words. Let's say they'll give you, I don't know, bird, right? So then they'll ask you to write bird for like 5 pages.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
here, right? Oh, sorry, that's 生字. Sorry, that means
That's
you repeat.
writing. Yeah. You write the same word like 5 pages. Yeah.
So then things here is the teacher will say the word, then you write down, and then after like 10 words, then the teacher will mark and see how many you get right.
Oh, wow.
But you see, it's very grueling because you have to train yourself to do all this, and the logic is good actually because you repeat doing this, but then the why is not quite there. But let's say if Chinese education did this instead of starting with this, the technicalities, the grammars and whatnot, they start with a story. Let's say they do like Wukong.
Okay.
They learn the four classics of Chinese, you can say civilization, right? Wukong, Water Margin, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and the Dreams of a Red Chamber. These are the 4 novels, and they are all stories. And you learn about Wukong and his staff. You learn about the Three Kingdoms. If I learn the Three Kingdoms from the start, I might give a shit about calligraphy more, because you know why? When they send letters, it's like war strategy and all that. But then they send letters like in calligraphy. Then I'll be like, hey, I want to be like
a guy in war.
like that, yeah. Or you learn about
cool.
and we know Wukong can work because look at the recent game, right? Like Wukong's so big.
Yes.
So, but if they started with that, I think it would have been a more successful.
Are they not doing this right now?
They're not.
They're still, their ways are
Very
right.
set in
Standard
their
one. Do
ways.
we start with reading the Romance of the Three Kingdoms?
I have to say that vernacular schools are very set in their ways. So I'm very, very, very surprised that some reactionaries, right-wingers in this country think, oh, those places are promoting communism, when that's the last thing on their mind, actually. They probably don't even like it very much. They're very conservative. So they like things to be done in a routine way, a very specific way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because Chinese culture has a deep intellectual heritage, but it's just force-fed, right?
So maybe the way they teach it could be different and people might be more enthusiastic in learning. Is that what you're...
Yeah, I think they need to adopt a
Modern methods.
not necessarily like
I think you need to.
they need to
layer it.
they need to produce they need to create a debating culture.
Yes, I agree.
So they don't say Confucianism is us. So to understand like the value of Confucianism, you need to study a lot of other things like legalism. You need to know like the backdrop of where.
Do you think that's just too layered for a child? That's why.
No, you know why? Because Jewish rabbis have this thing called Hasvruta, I think, where even as young as 8 to 10 years old, they will pair two kids up to discuss what they call it Talmudic studies, what these ancient rabbis were talking about, and they would just sit there and they would discuss and then debate and they learn like that.
Holy shit!
And whatever you think about Jews, one thing you cannot be undeniable
Is they're fucking smart.
They're smart.
Yeah.
And they also have a rich ancient heritage. It's just that they are able to unearth this. Whereas I feel like with Chinese people, it's force-fed. Confucianism, okay.
But I think Chris also had mentioned that it's a very routine / like conservative / whatever.
It's very, very conservative.
Yeah, so they're
very
not
set in
willing to
their
experiment,
ways.
right? I think even if you force hand them, they probably wouldn't do it unless you paid them.
Because you know,
And even if you pay them, I think you got to pay them a lot for them to change the system, man.
I know I like to call I like to call myself Comrade Confucius because it's nice alliteration, you know, CC.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that even in China during the time of Cixi actually, you know, Empress Dowager Cixi,
Yeah.
she wanted to modernize China to be like Japan, a modern
Asian.
superpower. But her advisors were against it. They vetoed that because they said, no. We have a Chinese characteristic. We have a Chinese soul.
Yeah.
We cannot become like the West, right? In any way. So that's why they vetoed it.
But you know what is so ironic, and I'm glad you're a history guy as well, so you understand this. They don't even know their own history. Like I literally test some of these pro-China people, right? You know, sometimes they make fun of me, like because even though I can speak Mandarin, it's like, oh, you speak Mandarin in an English way. Yeah.
They do say this.
Yeah, so even people who can speak Mandarin, they'll try and like make fun, you know.
Oh my god,
man.
dude! You know,
People are
you know.
psychos.
I sorry. Just hold that thought about the history shit. Okay, just hold that. Just remember history, and I'm glad you're a man of history. Just hold that thought, bro. I've been learning Duolingo Mandarin for the past 2 weeks. All right, just so happen they reach a point where they say ice cream.
Okay.
What is ice cream in Mandarin? Do you wait, do you know or not?
Oh,
Everyone knows.
Right. Because of who?
Meme, yeah.
Because of John. Okay. So I just said, 我爱冰激凌. And then Jen laughed at me.
我喜欢冰淇淋.
Whatever lah, I forgot already lah. But I know I had to say the word 冰激凌. Then she's like, why do you speak Chinese like an American?
I see.
Yeah,
I just
that's
looked at
very
her.
annoying.
So I just looked at her. I'm like, what the fuck, man? No matter what I do, like that is a failure, right?
Do you see how deep it goes? Like
It's so fucking deep. After you say that, I'm like, wow, I fucking them
even when you
annoying.
speak, they don't get it. But so back to that. Are you done?
Basically, I stopped learning Mandarin to I went back to Japanese. I'm just saying, fuck
Yeah,
that.
I just want to add to that point, which is you don't hear bananas making fun of like Chinese people.
Wait. Sorry, I'm sorry. That as a
Bro, I
mean, we do make fun at the accent.
I never made fun of it.
I never.
Okay.
Some people are guilty of that.
Okay.
but we are not.
I can tell you this. All right. If you make fun of me first, then yes.
Okay.
No, the
But
reason
if you haven't, I am more than happy to help. Normally, right, if a person can't speak English properly and they ask me, hey, John, is this sentence correctly? Like,
Okay.
I will be like, oh, bro, I'll help you out, man. I don't give a fuck. But if they make fun of me first, I'll just look at them. It's done this way. But I don't make fun of them.
I feel the reason why bananas hardly make fun is because we appreciate the beauty of different accents all around the world.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm willing to dumb it down for people too, man. I'm just saying, man.
I'm very curious what happened to MJ, but let's go back to history.
Yeah, so so I like to test them. Like, so you don't speak a lot of Mandarin, right? But you know the 4 classics.
Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Water Margin, what else? Dream of the Red Chamber, Hong Lo Meng, and
Hong Lo Meng, yeah.
there's one more, Journey to the West.
Yeah, COG, yeah. So
Can I also ask what is the 4 classics of Chinese for you? Because the things that they mentioned are not my.
I only know Romance of the Three Kingdoms and I know Wukong.
I know
so it's
someone,
called Journey to the West.
Yeah, Journey to the West, the priest and the Son Goku and
Dreams
all
of
that.
a Red Chamber.
Son Goku.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball, bro.
Lots of water margin. Okay, this four.
Margin.
Yeah. I throw it back to them. I say, what are the four in Mandarin? A lot of them actually don't know.
三国演义、红楼梦、西方的
西游记、
西游记 sorry. And I don't know how to say the water margin in
水浒传。
水浒传. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So-
I've learned a new word.
I'm
Yeah.
already in a loss.
So I'll test
I'm
them
the
that.
true banana
But
here.
you know the conservative, where I'm alluding to is that the conservatism, they themselves don't even know their own history. They don't even know that in some ways they are a pretty progressive, diverse, like diversity oriented, like empire in the form of the Tang dynasty. The Tang dynasty is the most American dynasty. They had a female emperor.
Oh, wow.
Women's rights were a lot bigger.
Wow. Yeah.
Back in the day, there were a lot of foreign influence inside the
Tang court.
The Tang court. These are like nomadic people. They
Persians,
were
Turks.
expansionists.
Yeah.
They were expanding out and going out. So they don't even know their own history, and they think like everything should be like the Ming dynasty, which is a lot more
Inward.
Insular, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, bro, just read your own history, like that, and you would really understand a lot more.
But no,
So
man.
I'm more Chinese than you.
But no, man.
That's why I always challenge
They
them.
gotta go on Douyin, man. They gotta go on Xiaohongshu, man. That's their agenda, mate.
Is there a difference between like ultra Chinese that you see that are from boomers to Gen Y and
Gen Z,
Gen Zs?
yeah.
I think the
What's
most
Gen-
aggressive are the Gen Ys. No, sorry, Gen Ys. Yeah, the younger.
Really?
Gen Ys are
Really?
wow.
The young people are
I
the
thought it's
most
boomers.
aggressive.
Wow.
Bro, we are
Boomers-
considered Gen Y, you know.
Yeah, people like us are the more aggressive types.
Wow,
They're
I'm surprised.
the most hostile ones. Boomers can be pretty aggressive as well, but
Yeah, that's always a known fact.
Yeah.
but the ones I see on maybe because they know how to access social media. I don't know what the boomers think of me, except for that head of department, the head of English department. I don't know what the boomers generally think of me.
For me,
But
I feel
yeah.
all are aggressive to me.
Really?
Yeah, all.
Well, there was one
but
time
just different types.
when I was teaching. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. Go for it.
Yeah, they're all aggressive to a certain extent, to varying degrees. But when I was teaching at the international school, there was one parent who came up to me and he said, he's a son, one of the boys' fathers. And he said, do you speak Chinese? Because he wanted to converse in Chinese. And I said, no. So what dialect do you speak? And I said, I don't speak any dialect. And he says, it's such a pity you can't speak Chinese. And he had this condescending tone, like, I don't know why your parents didn't send you to a Chinese school, but then you should ask them why they didn't. When I went back to China, I went back to Fujian province, and then I went back to my ancestral home and I met people who were my distant relatives, and I actually felt so at home, And I'm thinking, dude, my ancestor got on a boat here hundreds of years ago. I have no memories. I have no recollection of China because Peranakans by now consider themselves to be
Pretty at home.
pretty at home. Yeah, I've been here longer than Mahathir has. But I think sometimes the diaspora, if you don't mind me saying, the diaspora who have insecurity about their identity will project it on everybody else who looks Chinese, even though we may be Chinese, but we don't identify as Chinese of China. And to be fair, the Chinese from China are not interested in our culture war either. I've noticed that some people from the Chinese diaspora have this strange idea, especially Chinese Americans. They have this strange idea that China has got some racial obligation to help the Chinese diaspora. And they think that if they just be Chinese enough, they will be accepted back in China.
They'll be welcome back with open arms.
They think so.
But no,
No,
they don't give a fuck about you.
they don't. You're a foreigner regardless.
Quite frankly, we don't give a fuck about that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think it feels. I think I brought this up over our WhatsApp chat, right? And I did say how it's them feeling as if. So I don't know. Maybe I said it right at that time because I felt it. Okay. And I said, I think the reason why they are like this is because they believe that this is all they are. And when they say it to other people, they are actually really insecure because these people can be whoever they want to be. But who they are, they can never be more. So that's why they do that. Because they're so scared that this is my limit. I am a person that speaks Mandarin and this guy cannot speak. So if this guy can't speak Mandarin, this guy might be more than me. So I better put him down. But this is all I'll ever be. This is how I feel sometimes. I'm
Maybe
like,
the only thing they have to be proud of, the ultras, is the ability to converse in Chinese.
yeah, because to them that's like peak. That's like I am the Ultima. I am number one already.
I am the alpha and omega.
yeah.
But you know, the fun, I mean, we always use this, right? I mean, but I think it makes sense for us to use this, which is the whole, if you like it so much, why are you not going back?
Then they're gonna say, "Oh, you want to change your name to Ridwan or Firdaus now? You want to parrot the right wingers?" Like,
Yeah.
that's what they.
So I want to actually, since you brought it up, I want to bring out a few things that people criticize you of, and then you can expand, right? I think one very interesting one, I think is the one that I've never thought of before, right? They're so creative, is that the reason you don't speak Mandarin, and also because you criticize the Chinese ultras because you as a banana, you want to pander to the Malaysian majority. Wow. That is some next level gymnastics, you know.
You have to perform some serious mental backflips to get to that extent. I'm not pandering. In fact, the right-wing Malay ultras hate me. They call me a communist. And I'm not a communist. As I've said, I don't have the discipline to struggle in the jungle for my beliefs. I don't even have to... Well, it's just that it's confusing because my enemies can't seem to decide on what I am. The right-wing Malay ultras call me a communist. The Chinese and Asian American ultras call me a British bootlicker who slobbers the balls of the Brits. So
that's specific then.
Yes, two opposites, two contrasting identities, don't you think?
Yeah, you're an Anglophile. That's what it is.
Anglophile, that's right. So was my grandfather.
I think they're just... Bro, actually, the comment section is a toxic place to be, but I love how you make content out of it. For me, right, I just stopped looking at the comments. It's just too much for me.
It's good for farming views, though. Comments help you to farm views.
That's what
We
he
know.
does. MJ's good at it. I just can't deal with this type of negativity in my life.
There's another one I want to get everyone's response, which is you need to learn Chinese because of the economy.
The economy.
I like how the Malaysian economy is dealt majority in English, not even Malay. Just saying.
No, they say you can go to China, 1 billion people.
I think it's all a matter of perspective. If I was going to China, then yes. Or Taiwan, I would need to learn Chinese. That makes sense as a form of respect to the people I'll be doing business with. But my 34 years have been fine so far. So they're acting as if I'm suffering a fate worse than death by not knowing Chinese. I don't know.
Like you can't eat or you're begging on the streets because you can't learn Mandarin.
I have plenty of friends who have the same sentiment.
Yeah.
So remember, I just want to mix two of my points. So there are multi-generations that say this, and they've been saying this for a long time.
For generations,
Boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, even Gen Z, even Gen A, man.
Gen A?
Even Gen A.
What's Gen A?
Gen A is the younger version of Gen Z.
Skibidi generation,
The
yeah.
14-year-olds.
Yeah.
Or those kids.
Yeah. So they say, uncle don't know how to speak Chinese one. How you going to do work? I'm like, I mean...
Oh, at the school, I remember. Oh, sorry, Sir John.
I'll just try to wrap up as much. But
There was one of the boys who said, Mr. Tay, how come you cannot speak Chinese? And I said, well, I never learned it. But you are not a banana man. You are a Chinese man. But it just didn't make sense to him. This was a 13-year-old boy at the time. It didn't make sense to him that there's a yellow-faced man who doesn't speak an East Asian language.
wait till he goes to France, the guy will be freaked out. Just saying. Yeah. Right? So for me, these multi-generational people who have been saying this, right? I feel, right, until today, they're so defensive about it. They will never retreat. They will never retreat because they realize, right, deep down, they are materialistic people.
They are.
They're so materialistic. To them, whatever that is given to them must be either money or fancy car or whatever. Because I don't know. It has been ingrained in them, right? So no matter what you have, even I have 20 Bugatti Veyrons, I have a whole building to my name, right? I own a country. to them it's not enough. Because to them it's, why don't you want more? Why don't you want to be like me who wants more? So no matter what, they will never back down. If you have a conversation with a guy who is a lot less than you, okay? This guy doesn't even, I don't know lah, fuck it lah, okay? He's just living bare minimum, you know, in downtown Kuala Lumpur, capitalist society, right? as you call it.
Yes.
Even, I can tell you this, I'm a very fortunate person. I've lived a life where I feel like I've gone to many countries. I got to meet many different people, right? I don't live in poverty, but neither do I live in luxury. I think I live quite fine, you know? I'm a happy guy. But they cannot stand you being happy.
Yeah.
No,
They cannot stand it. They're like, oh my God, this man over here is too happy.
They think you're like their ex or something like that.
So right, when you have conversations with these multi-generational people, right, who learn Mandarin, they're like, why don't you want more? I'm like, because I am not you.
Because I'm satisfied with what I have, right?
I'm more than happy having a kai fan every day, right? And my chum. That's it, mate. I don't really want more, but to them, it's unacceptable.
No.
So to them, it's a multi-projection thing, you know. It's like deep down, it's roots. Deep down, it's I need money. Deep down. Then when you look at people that are happy, I can't stand the guy who's happy.
Yeah.
So they have to shit on you. And that's why they go, why do you want to learn Chinese?
Yeah.
You can earn money, what? I'm like,
I'm happy.
it's okay, man. They're like, no.
That's why that's also probably why they can't stand Malays.
Oh.
Because I should clip that shit.
No, because
No, it's fine.
No, I should clip it and put it into a TikTok.
Because I'll just say it for you. So like a lot of Chinese ultras can't stand Malays because Malays are easily satisfied.
Yeah.
Wow, bro.
Let's be honest, what goes on behind closed doors, what they say about Malays behind closed doors, or what you see on some of the comments on Twitter.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, they do speak in English. Yeah, when you go on Twitter, you can see the contempt with which they hold Malays.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to expand on that, MJ?
Yeah, because they just don't understand this idea that some people just don't need more.
Yeah. To them, it's
and the whole irony is there's nothing Confucian about their attitude.
No, it isn't.
It's greed. It's greed.
Confucius despised materialism, didn't he?
Yeah, that's the whole irony.
Yeah, it's ironic. Yes.
No, but like you go back to it, they don't really understand this whole concept. Also, I feel like it's kind of like, oh, Western people are so happy. You also happy. Cannot. That's how I feel. So every time I have this like drawn out, like gruesome, tiring conversation with these people, right? And they never say, look, I don't care, bro. I really don't care. Now, right, after you said it, right, maybe I gotta suck some dick, man. I go like, yeah, I'm working on it. Mandarin's hard, but I'm working on it.
I want to just say on the economy one.
Oh, man.
Remember I sent you guys a spreadsheet. I actually calculated by a pretty high margin. Chinese people working outside of China.
Is it the one where Indonesia is crazy amount?
Are wealthier than Chinese people in China. I just want to say that. Okay, especially the 5 big English-speaking countries, which is, you might find that insulting as a Chinese ultra, but it's a fact. Chinese, Americans, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, and British all out-earn. I think Malaysian Chinese out-earns.
China.
You know what's the average salary for a Chinese person in China? 5,000 RMB.
Well, that's because it's a big country also. You're gonna it's average, right? Is it average?
Yeah, but medium or average, can't remember. Taiwanese. Okay, you want to say that's part of China? Okay, fine. Indonesian, Thai, Chinese.
They were mad, bro. Yeah. That was wild when I saw the Indonesian.
And of course, I think the number one is Singaporeans.
Yeah.
They're the most English speaking.
I actually want to add to that, right? You know, when you brought this up as well, you know, they always say it's very good to deal in Chinese because you get to work with Chinese. And then when you go to China, and I've worked in China for a whole month, right? Okay. I worked in Hainan and I worked in Shanghai for like 3 weeks. And all I felt, right, were a lot of Chinese people who like to push responsibilities because they feel like they want to maximize their money with minimal effort. So I haven't worked there for a long time. And my brother has worked with plenty of mainland Chinese. And he says they're really intelligent, some of them. But obviously this is a large scale. You know, like there are people who are brilliant and there are people who are not. But at the same time, if you look at their economy, right, they're in this state, right, where people don't even want to work. Like if you go on the street, right, a lot of people are just like fucking not doing anything. They're like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then it's this whole lay flat thing.
But can I just add, since you brought up Andrew, right? You know how they, it's a movie like in real life lah. But you know they say you learn Mandarin so that you can work in China and all that.
Yeah.
So here's a Chinese company coming to Malaysia, hiring your brother, and he can speak English. Say, sorry, we'll take you.
I don't know, man. It pisses me off, man.
And a lot of Chinese people don't realize that when it comes to commerce, two problems. The first is it's too difficult to learn.
It is.
You saw my email.
I saw your email,
Right.
The viral email.
It is too difficult to learn. And so I think when it comes to mercantilism and commerce, the path of least resistance will happen. The language that's easier to learn will be picked up. And my theory always has been, I will stick my neck out to say this, there'll be more Chinese people learning English than non-Chinese people learning Mandarin.
Bro, do you remember the first time we met?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
The first time I met MJ, right, was in the thick of COVID.
Yeah.
I went to his kopitiam, right? His family's kopitiam. His restaurant, sitting there. I had this long conversation with MJ. And I was like, oh, bro, actually, I remember the first remark I made as well. It's like, bro, you're fucking tall, man. You remember that? I was outside.
Yeah.
Then I was like, damn, man, I'm fucking short. And we had this 4-hour conversation. And in that conversation, right, I remember you said, don't worry, don't learn the Chinese. Chinese people will learn English first.
Yeah. That's my theory. And you know what? I'm being proven right. Because Mumu, which is a brokerage firm in China, they are here trying to expand. And the lady who is Chinese, she's probably our age, she's speaking English to me. I mean, with a Chinese accent, but she's speaking English.
Yeah.
So she learn and then we can do business.
Yeah. And he was saying how the Chinese language is a bit complicated because when you factor in intonation, it's very difficult to remember too many strokes. So how do you do strokes, right, on a phone? So if you look at the human evolution, right, when it comes to tech as well, the tech has to blend well with function and also ease of function. So for example, if you were to type, is it easier for you to draw out a character or is it easier for you to write W to write Wu?
Easier to write, just write
Right, W.
Yeah.
Just tap W and U.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because there are only 20
Yes, and
20 odd characters in English.
Yes.
And this is probably one of the biggest hidden insults that I can ever give to a Chinese ultra. And I wrote this in the email as well, and I got an angry email back.
Oh, bro, yeah.
I can send you the email. I got an angry email back and said, young man, you don't know what you're talking about. You're biased, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, context was the email was about how I don't think in the current format, China could overtake the US as a prime superpower, right? And the reason, the biggest insult is that China needed to borrow from the West, a Western language to improve their literacy. Do you know that before this thing called pinyin and zuyin, which is you learn Duolingo, right? You know the Roman letters with the dash. So it's called pinyin. Just called pinyin. And the Taiwanese people use zuyin, right? So it's just a different way of going about it, which was only introduced in the early 1900s.
Oh shit.
But before that, the literacy rate for Chinese people were less than 20%.
Less than 20%.
And I can tell you for a fact. You know why? Because my grandmother, who could only speak Mandarin or Hainanese, she had a phone book. Okay, so she had a phone book like my name she could write, no problem. But when it came to groceries, because she buys groceries and all that, chicken, she didn't write the Chinese word for chicken. She drew a chicken.
No fucking way.
I see.
She couldn't write the word chicken. And she had spoken Mandarin and Hainanese and a bit of Cantonese her whole life.
What the fuck?
See?
She drew a chicken?
So one of the biggest achievements of the Chinese Communist Party is to simplify the strokes. So if you look at the Taiwanese strokes, can you pull up the difference? The Taiwanese strokes are far more complicated.
Even Japanese kanji is damn complicated. It's like mad one.
So you just pull up a difference between Taiwanese and...
so Taiwanese Chinese versus mainland Chinese, right?
So the Taiwanese is the OG one, right? If you can study Taiwanese...
You got
basically you got. So what Chairman Mao did was to reduce that into simpler strokes.
Bro,
look at that.
Look at that, man. That's love, right? Yeah.
Yeah, see the Ma, which is horse, right? You see how the CCP reduced it to just a few strokes, whereas the traditional one.
Bro, it's an art form, bro.
Yeah, look at noodles. Like what? Look at that.
Look at noodles.
So anyways, that's the first one. The second one was to introduce pinyin. And that increased the
Literacy rate.
in 20 years. It went from 20% to 65%. And then today it's 90%. Yeah.
That's mad.
And that I feel is the biggest. If you're really like this prideful Chinese ultra, I say this should spit in your face. Directly in your face, because you're literally borrowing from a Western country to improve your language, which you've developed for the past
thousands
for 4,000 years. And if you still don't believe that, if you have children or if you intend to improve your Mandarin, go and learn Mandarin without pinyin.
Bro, die on you.
First of all, I don't even know if you can find a teacher who can teach you Mandarin without pinyin.
Oh, shit.
Yes, that's why even though Chinese people like to say that like a meritocratic system for their dynasties, which to an extent they do, compared to like the West where it was like just family lineage, right? It was still unfair, because in order for you to learn Mandarin without pinyin, you needed a lot of time to just memorize the basics.
Yeah, man.
Like if you take an English speaker and if you ask him to read, the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, right? Some more complicated philosophical text, he'll be able to read it, but may not be able to understand it.
Yeah.
But if I ask a random Chinese person to read the Analects of Confucius, they call it Lun Yu, right?
Fucker needs a year plus, bro.
Very hard, right? Because they have to know the words. Now imagine if there's no pinyin.
Bro, gone. The guy don't even know what's
So they
happening,
they need a lot of time for you to be a scholar to learn.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was an agricultural society, right? So if you don't plant shit, you don't eat. So who can actually
Spend time to go and
people with money, like people who already have the. So that's why literacy rate was very low.
That's why they keep the dumb people dumb as well. And then the rich people keep getting rich. They go make the dumb people go do the farming shit also lah.
Yeah, but of course the Chinese are very hardworking. So what they do, but what they do is some of these people would like have a lot of children. They would have a lot of children.
Ask them do farming.
But they will have one guy that they will send
to school
to become a scholar, because unlike farming, a scholar gets a regular salary, which is why Chinese people like stability, because with farming, you don't get stability, you get a big downpour, like a dry season, and then you're finished. That's why they love it to get a stable salary in the government. But that's also why they like land a lot, because they know they are beholden to the government for the salary. So whenever they get the salary, they freaking take it and they'll just go and buy land, just in case they get fired, so they can run back to their land. Very interesting. Yeah. So anyways, that's
fucking crazy.
I challenge any Chinese ultra. Go and learn Mandarin without pinyin. Don't use a Western tool to improve your language. Do it the pure way. Do it the original way. And then you come back to me and then you tell me how you feel.
You know, right? It's also very strange, right? Because when you get to know Mandarin speakers and people who read and then they can quote and unquote write, they can't write. They can't write. Because if you told them to like, oh, could you draft me a letter? Like I need you to write it down. They cannot. They can't do it. They're like, I forgot how to write that character.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Often.
Very often. It's very often because they've trudged through their primary school and high school, written multiple essays and all that shit.
Yeah.
Moment they come out to the workforce, is completely useless because they're like, I didn't use it.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible to forget what you've learned in school. Like, I've forgotten a lot of mathematical formulas. You know, I'm sure you agree.
Yeah. I'm on the same page.
Yeah. If you don't apply it, it's like a muscle. You don't apply it, it gets lost.
I think what Japanese has done with their language is somewhat easier. I feel like the
Kanji. No,
not kanji, hiragana.
Hiragana. Sorry.
So I think it's kind of like the alphabet system in that sense.
Yeah.
It's not too difficult to absorb. But when it comes to the kanji and it comes to like Mandarin and even, I don't know about Korean, but
Korean is even better because they adopted, I think, the language quite quickly. And then in 1443, they just gave up. They just came out with Hangul, I think, their own alphabet. Korea has their own. That's why you look at Korean words, they are like simple, like circles,
circle, dash.
Yeah, because like one of the kings, one of the kings are like, no way we're gonna do Mandarin. Screw it, right?
Yeah.
So they did it.
Yeah,
they just reformed.
So I think like it's easier. But then when you look at a lot of Mandarin speakers I know, they're like, they will just automatically default to just learn how to speak enough already.
So then, okay.
Do you all get this shit?
So then why teach in school?
bro, lanjiao punya people, bro. King kuku bird.
Okay, so another thing I want to add, right? Like, they always
Slap
say like
them,
you have to learn it so that you can do business in China and all that. Then I always shoot back. I say, okay, why don't I just learn business Mandarin?
Yeah, why not?
Why do I have to learn ancient Mandarin? So in Chinese syllabus, we have this thing called Guwen. So Gu means like ancient, and then Wen means language. To an extent. Correct, right? Yeah.
Maybe perhaps
It's
their
pointless. It's like speaking like in Shakespearean language equivalent, Why?
Right now, of course, we're trashing them, right? But if you think about from their perspective, right? Like how they have to learn English, and in that setting that you just mentioned, hey, at least I know how to write some basic English, But if you were to come into my world, you can't even do jack shit.
100%.
So
But I
maybe they're
don't.
thinking in that perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Because from where they come from, they're dealing mostly in Mandarin, just like how we're dealing mostly in English. I never had to write my name in Mandarin because there was no need for me to do that. All my 34, 35 years of life.
The thing is, right, I feel that it's not like I want to go into their world, nor do they want to go into ours.
Yes.
It's not that like I despise them, honestly speaking. It's just that sometimes our lives intersect at some point. And I think, or at least I believe when people's lives intersect, the first thing you want to do is understand, right? How is that person's life so different? But I respect that person. It's like, for example, if I went to France and I met an Asian there and the guy speaks French, I'm like, wow, that's so unique. For example, I was studying in the US, found this Korean guy, his name is Alex, played FIFA with him. And then he says he curses in Argentinian, I don't know, what other
Spanish?
Spanish. So he curses in that. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? He's like, yeah, I'm from Argentina. I'm like, holy shit. And then I concede. So I say, ayo. He was like, bro, did you just say ayo? I'm like, yeah. Dude, in Korean, we say aigu. They're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Then I realized, right, that this guy was born in a very different circumstance. But I didn't shit on him in any way. He didn't shit on me.
Yeah.
He didn't go like, wait, you're Chinese, but you don't speak Chinese? I'm like, no, I don't speak Chinese.
No, I think to your point is like we don't attack them.
I don't.
But they attack us.
Yeah.
You don't you don't speak English. Oh.
I think the basic idea is that we just want to respect each other as equals,
Yeah.
regardless of our personal
I don't
choices.
judge, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not in their world. Whatever.
Yeah.
I will die if I go into their world.
We acknowledge that. We will die if we try to enter their world, and we don't want to.
I don't want it. I want to live in my own world. It's fine.
But
I don't like the insult that comes with it. That's how I feel.
It just seems difficult for these ultras to respect us as
Yeah.
equals because they look at us in a sense of a big brother, little brother sort of relationship. That's putting it very nicely. Big brother, little brothers.
That is the nicest way.
Yeah.
And I also want to point out, only the Chinese do this. I really feel so. You look, okay, there was this famous interview, right? In a football setting. Cristiano Ronaldo was in Japan.
Yeah. Then he tried to speak.
There was this Japanese kid
I know
who
that
spoke
one. I know that
Portuguese.
clip.
And then everybody laughed at him, right? And he's like, why are you laughing at him? He's trying, man. Right?
Yeah.
And then everybody was like, oh, fuck, actually, it's true.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I think in the Chinese setting, right, they will never do this in public. But in one-on-one conversations, they will shit on you non-stop.
All the time.
Yeah.
I feel, right, to them, it's like, I'm better in public, but in private, I'm going to fuck you up because I want to show you that I'm better.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, wait, where is this hostility coming from, my guy? I just met you, man.
Yes.
Because I think
Like-
I think they see that, oh, you're Chinese, I'm Chinese, you should be the same as me.
Ah.
That's it.
That's the thing.
Yeah, they're like, hey, I just met you, fuck you, Tiao Ni.
Yeah. They actually get triggered if you're not the same as them.
Yeah.
Going back to your point about like you meeting like different races of people, the thing about like ultra Chinese or China, right? It's that they are very close minded and they only want to hang out with people who are the same kind as them, especially in language. So when I was studying in my university, there's my university have like Africans, Kazakhstans, a lot of multiracial, from different country. But there's this a couple of friends, because I hang out with them, people from different countries, right? They asked me, why does all the other Chinese people don't mix like you do with us? Why do the Chinese always mix with the Chinese? Straight up, because they only want to hang out with their own kind. They don't want to mix with other people. They're very close-minded in that sense. They feel comfortable if it's like, I'm speaking to my fellow Mandarin speaker. but in a lot of ways they are not brave enough to like
To venture out.
to venture out and get to know like the other people, mix with them, mingle with them. They're very close-minded in that sense.
But I also feel like I wouldn't judge. That's the thing. I don't think majority of people judge. Honestly speaking, like I would like to think, okay, as a person that has traveled to a good number of countries in my
we
life.
just judge them so much.
No, but I'm just saying generally other people, other cultures don't really judge. For example, right? Like if you go to Australia, right? And there's a Chinese person in Australia. And if the guy was speaking to let's say, I don't know, like another Chinese Australian, they would never have this conversation. Never.
Yeah,
Never. It's
I
only
agree.
the diaspora Malaysians and the Americans as well.
Yeah. I find it like so strange.
Yes,
That-
I do.
Yeah, even if you go to like, for example, right, if you met like a French guy, because I don't speak French, man, I
Yeah.
studied in America, I wouldn't judge him.
You know,
Would a
some-
French guy? I don't think so. They'd be like, the guy, he studied in America. Of course, he don't understand the Francais. You know, like they wouldn't bash them and be like, huh? Are you even French? Are you even Francais? They would never do that.
I don't think so.
to that point, you know, most white people in America come from England or Germany, right? But
Yeah.
the Germans and they don't go and say you have German
are
blood.
German.
You
You
are
should
not
speak German. They
You
don't do that.
are degenerate. You're not able to speak German. Yeah, they don't do that. They just say, okay, you're American. That's it. And Peranakans in Singapore, most of them cannot speak Malay to save their lives. Do we go up to them and say, you have lost touch with your heritage, man. You need to learn how to be Peranakan again.
Yeah, because nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a flying witch's poop about.
Yeah, it's just the Chinese only.
But
And in fact, like you're right. You know, when you go to China and then you're like, didn't learn Chinese. Oh,
Okay.
how?
Okay, let's get on with our lives.
But don't we do the same as Malaysian? If you see another fellow Malaysian and say, hey, you don't speak Malay.
Oh, really?
I don't give a fuck. The
don't
guy
give a-
probably went to international school.
Yeah.
I have a friend that he was a guest on the podcast. I won't say who. He
So maybe
speaks
I'll
only
say-
English.
Okay,
Wait,
but to be fair, I will agree with you on that, where I do judge if you cannot speak rudimentary Malay.
So Harith and him were on the same page. For me, I'm like,
I mean,
don't really
like,
You
care
do
lah.
need to know some Malay to get on in Malaysia. It's
So-
to be fair.
Maybe,
so
but
just
for me, I'm
then
okay.
flip, just think back in the perspective of the ultra Chinese. That's what they're thinking. You're Chinese. You should know how to speak Chinese.
But they're looking at it from a race essentialist
Yes.
point of view and not a national point of view. They're thinking they're
The
looking
Malay
at
thing
it
is a national
through
point of view
race.
lah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because when you speak Malay,
Yeah.
you can speak to everyone.
Yeah.
But when you only speak Mandarin, you cannot speak to everyone.
Yeah.
It's a holistic thing versus a.
I think that's the difference.
So, question: don't you guys want to preserve some form of,
I like
Chinese
I like mala food.
No, I do. So
do.
I do.
Me too.
That's why I learned Chinese history. I learned so many things.
Yeah.
We are not really attacking that pure intention. It's just that pure intention just transform into some shitty attitude
Yeah.
that we get. That is the issue.
yeah. Okay.
It's the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So you know, maybe they have good intentions to preserve the culture, but then, as you say, it morphs into something ugly.
And
Yeah.
and they need to again go back. They need to use honey rather than vinegar.
Good. I like that. Honey attracts more insects rather than vinegar.
But you see, I would highlight, like for example, the fact that Chinese people are wealthier. They should use that as inspiration.
Bro, he
for-
did that. He was like, why don't you pay me to learn Mandarin?
I did say that. Yes. For every hour, just give me 100 an hour and I'll learn Mandarin. I'll tell you the truth. I am trying to learn it to help my students, because my students, it's easier to explain English grammar if you have an understanding of Chinese grammar because you help the student to understand the difference. So, but I'm not learning it out of a sense of shame, feeling of embarrassment. I won't be shamed into thinking I'm less than them. Just even if I didn't speak a lick of Mandarin, I'm not less than they are. That's the point. I don't appreciate that they treat me like I'm less than.
You're right. And all these Chinese ultra have to do if they want to improve their image is ask themselves this question: why is it that the Malaysian guy from Desa Park City wants to learn Japanese so badly? Did any Japanese person try to convince you to learn Japanese?
Nope.
No.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because it's anime.
It's honey, right?
Honey, yes, I like that. Honey,
No
a
lah.
little bit.
I can tell you this also. Like, you know, when I learned French, right, when I was in the US,
Yeah.
I felt right like when a French person came up to me and she spoke to me. Her name is Gabrielle. She's from Paris. And she was like, I admire you so much for wanting to learn how to speak French. I really do. Then I'm like, yeah, don't get the same with the Chinese back home, although I'm Chinese.
Positive reinforcement. You don't get the same with they think, well, you're doing
Yeah.
a shit job at it, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You're Chinese, but you're speaking
So
shit Chinese.
at one point, I was saying "Viva la France," right? Right. And this guy, he comes to me and he says, "Mate, you're smoking a cigarette. It's Vive, not Viva. Viva is Spanish." I was like, "Oh shit, it's Vive la France." And then I'm like, "Oh, cool. Thanks, man." Then I was like, "Well, I've never gotten that in Malaysia." Then he like, "What do you mean?" If I say something wrong in Mandarin, right? The whole room would have made fun of me. The whole room would have made fun of me. Then he was like, "That's fucked up." Oh well, thank God you're learning French though. In Japan, if I didn't speak proper Japanese, I just gave like today I was at a buffet. I had taro ice cream, right? Like the fucking yam shit. So it was labeled yam and red bean. So this Japanese lady, she was using Google Translate. And she was like, "Oh fuck, what is this?" Then I was like, "これはアイスクリームです。taro to azuki." Then she's like, "Huh? すげえ." Then I was like, 大丈夫. Then I just shout. Then my friend Raj was like, "What the fuck, bro? You just explain what the ice cream flavor is to her?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro. Don't need Google Translate." And you know what? Like, I think you get positive reinforcement, right? When you just like try.
With the Japanese, they always say "Nihongo joju."
Yeah, then you just say "Jozu jarimasen." But I think you don't really get like bad feedback. I get the most stick, right, from my own people.
Hey, does this happen if you speak? You know, you go to China, you speak Mandarin to them. Do they laugh at you, or
No,
is it just a
no.
Malaysian Chinese thing?
They don't.
It's a Malaysian
It's so
Chinese
unique.
thing.
Yeah, people in China, they were just like,
Malaysian Chinese ultras just didn't get any update. That's it. They
didn't.
yeah, bro,
didn't
the
update.
software is 1990.
Pentium 2 shit, man.
They're still living in the Opium War generation.
they
Their
keep
mind
bringing it
is
up.
Opium War times, you know. They still believe we're living in the century of humiliation and 我们中国人不是东亚病夫. You know what that means? Like,
I don't know.
we Chinese are not the sick men of Asia. That was the line. That's the line you hear in all the kung fu movies, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now is the century of self-humiliation, bro.
They're humiliating.
I don't know whether this
themselves.
happens to you, but it happens to me a lot. So it's just
It
like,
does happen to me, but I've it's been a while since I last experienced this. Like just probably 2 months ago, I was in Ipoh. I was going to this Funny Mountain or Red Mountain restaurant in Ipoh, and I was walking around. It's a wood factory, plus there's a cafe. So my girlfriend was just working, and then I was just taking a stroll in the old wooden factory, and there was this old uncle who asked me to come over. Let's have a chat. There was no. He knows I couldn't speak Mandarin. I didn't get the whole treatment for a long time. That I'm a banana, I cannot speak Mandarin.
wow, so nice.
But at the same time, I would say that I do show initiative that I can somehow speak rudimentary Mandarin.
Oh, I
so,
can't.
So maybe I don't get that flag.
I'm
so
at a
much.
complete loss. In fact, my Kai Fan person that I go to just looks at me and just nods at this point.
But I
They
agree.
don't want to do the dance anymore.
I agree with what you guys were saying. I was in Taiwan like 3 months ago, maybe. I never had any feeling that as if they were laughing at me. Or,
Outside country, no.
Yeah,
Inside
yeah,
Malaysia, a
there
lot.
is no such feeling.
Inside Malaysia,
It's
it's
the
quite a bit.
insecurity of the Chinese Malaysian diaspora, I think.
Actually, I don't even think I get it in Singapore.
But I don't know if you guys are talking about people only from the internet, like so.
in real life as well.
Real life relatives,
Like,
mate.
is it that bad? Because when I go back to Johor with Jane's relatives who are mainly speaking in Mandarin, yeah, they kind of just laugh, and then I kind of see it as that laugh as not really like a humiliation or an insult, but rather some form of endearment.
You want to know how mine goes down?
How?
I was like, oh, 我要吃. 不是吃了，是吃了。
I remember an episode I had with you. That was the first time I met MJ actually.
Was it?
At Online, where you were introducing us to the pork noodle. And you were asking for bill in Cantonese. But when you said it, you were saying
买单.
my dan. You were saying my dan. And I couldn't help but to laugh.
See what I mean?
Because what you were saying wasn't, I want to pay for, I want to get
buy
the bill, I want to buy egg. I was like, to me, it's hilarious.
But do you try to like correct him and say like, hey, it's my turn?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's okay, right? Like,
But I can't help
But
but
it's
to
not-
but I can't help but to laugh as well because what I'm hearing was not a guy who said I want to get Bill. Hey, I want to buy eggs. You know, it is funny. Yeah, it's a banana. You know.
It's a recurring thing in my office. So at this point, right, I just look at them and be like, host you.
I think
Then I
that's-
continue to do my work.
I get it. I guess it's more like being sick of the fact.
Imagine imagine in a world right where it was in the reverse, and people went like, I want to buy egg. I want to buy an egg, an egg. I want okay, and I'll be like, I want to buy an egg. Imagine how humiliated that person would be in the office. But I never do that. I'm a better person than that. I just go.
Yes.
I understand the concept. I understand. Okay.
Okay, so
I will
how would
assist
you feel since I'm your friend, right? And I'm also banana, right? And I did
I'm used to it. It's calluses at this point.
And I did exactly.
I do
the same.
waiter pull-ups for a reason to, you know, man carry heavy thing, made sad voice in head go away.
How would you feel then? You know, I did exactly what the ultra Chinese would have done as well. And if I'm not your friend, do you feel that whatever that we talk about this ultra Chinese applies to me?
I think if I feel right, honestly, at this point, if they laugh, right, it's fine. People find different things funny. I just don't like it when you question my upbringing. I'm like, bro,
okay.
everybody has gone through a different life, lah.
Okay, all
right? Like at this point, right, you must just laugh at an African kid, lah. Just laugh at him, lah. Just laugh, lah. You know the guy doesn't have water, right? Just laugh.
Okay, so we're not
Same
saying
thing.
So we have Nick who is in charge of switching. I'm not saying that Nick is an ultra Chinese.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Nick is.
Nick's situation is fucking bizarre, by the way, but okay.
But Nick, do you consider you are not a banana, am I right?
No,
But you're
lah.
a half.
Wait,
Wait, from Cheras though.
Puchong lah, fucker.
Oh, sorry, yeah, same thing, right?
How what do you think about everything that has been said? Since if you know you're not so much of a banana as he is labeling you as on the other side, do you feel like whatever that we said about these Chinese are true? 100%. Wow.
Because he's experienced it.
I see.
Because in MEP, it's like that. Even in my previous companies, it's like that. And I'm just like, okay, it's a recurring pattern. But when you work with people who only primarily deal in English, right? And they know a little bit of Cantonese, maybe, not really Mandarin, they're more understanding. They go like, it's okay. The guy went to a different. The amount of shit I want to go through. Through secondary school. It's stubborn effort. It's what effort?
Because I'm really banana if I never even go to Chinese school.
Oh, so Nick is saying even if he didn't go to Chinese school. Okay, so this is where I disagree because I think Nick was English educated but was forced into a Chinese secondary school. So it's basically playing catch up with Ferrari and you're driving a Kanchila, right? At this point.
So he had a reverse situation from MJ's on.
Yes, his one was is like the parents are like, sorry mate, drop you in a pool of alligators. And then Nick's like blah, 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 blah. Then it's like fuck it lah, 5 years lah, you know. So he struggles through that shit, alters his accent, right? But he still speaks fluent Mandarin,
Yeah.
you know. Because at this point you either sink or swim.
But see, that's the thing. So even for a quote unquote weak student like Nick, you also get shame.
Shame for 3 years.
So if you are like weak, you're also getting shame.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it's not the best setup lah, I feel.
If you don't fit a very specific mold, you get shamed, right?
Yeah. You just gotta blend in. Yeah. So when you stand out, puha. Oh, puha. Cannot. The best my Chinese school is. He's very good with all the English teachers. I also feel it's very strange, right? Like, you know, I might be like overextending this lah. You know how when you get to know a lot of the Chinese community, right? And they speak very well. Mandarin and English. So let's say, for example, this Chinese speaker is an MC and she can deal both in English and in Mandarin, right? And she does it very elegantly on stage. She welcomes the crowd. She hypes the crowd up. She introduces the VIP, etc. Later on, she does it in English. She does it equally as well. She's a dual language MC, right? Now, behind the scenes, and she's not on stage anymore, there is this slight condescending feeling to the Chinese one, you know.
Oh.
They will feel like, oh, that one is a very Chinese event. Am I correct? Nick nods.
Wait, sorry, who's it? What?
In behind the scenes, although she is fluent in both, the Chinese look down at on the Chinese as well. So, for example, right, you would look at a brand, for example, and be like, oh, that brand is quite Chinese lah.
Yeah.
Even a Chinese ad person would agree that their own product is not as great sometimes.
Yeah.
Even a Chinese person would agree that, oh, that group is quite Chinese. And they're fluent in both. I can name you like a fuckload of people who are like that.
Okay.
They will still tell you, learn Mandarin, it's better. But at the same time, they'll tell you, actually, that one, that place is very Chinese, don't go there. And I'm very fucking sure everyone in this fucking room has experienced this shit. I'm the only guy that's to say this shit.
I don't get it because I said it too. Wait, what do you mean? I don't understand.
If people who are fluent in both,
All right.
right, and they're having a conversation, they would do both. They would say, you should learn Mandarin. But at the same time, they'll be like, oh, but that place is quite Chinese.
It's like
a negative connotation anyway.
They seem confused. Like they're not sure whether.
Yeah, what is the camp they belong on?
They're not
belong
sure
in.
whether Chinese is superior or whether English is superior because they themselves seem to look down on.
Is this true? Do you find this sometimes when you have a conversation? Sometimes when you've gotten along with them for like maybe a couple of days already, and then they somehow like, that one
place
is
that, well, I know for a fact that some Chinese ultras do look down on mainland Chinese. They themselves have.
It's a very
lot of
complicated,
contempt.
like,
So they have great amounts of Chinese pride, but at the same time, they themselves don't want anything to do with mainland Chinese.
yeah. Like, oh,
I'm not one of those Chinese.
I'm
one of the
not
good
like
ones,
them.
Yeah, when they get a product made in China, then
Yeah, I'm not like them. I'm not like them. I'm like you.
yeah.
I'm like you.
I'm a civilized English speaking Chinese.
Do you feel that? Ren, do you feel this or not, Ren? Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's weird lah, Malaysian Chinese
fucking,
ultras.
yeah.
They're confused.
Yeah.
Deeply confused people.
I have multiple conversations. I okay, for context also, we can end it like this lah, okay? I know this person. She speaks well. I mean, can be better, but I digress lah, right? So she has a brand. She started a brand. Starts hiring a lot of influencers to promote this brand. I was quite interested. I'm like, oh, what's this brand about? Skincare. I'm like, oh, cool, skincare and everything. And then I was going through the profile. I was like, oh, it's quite Chinese. Huh? You think so?
Ooh.
Then I like, what's wrong with that?
She seemed quite self-conscious about that.
Yeah. Then I'm like, I mean, it's not exactly fit for Malays and Indians lah if your brand is in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all your KOLs are all in Chinese. Your fucking, your postings are half Chinese, half English. Who else is it for? Like, you don't even have it in like Malay.
Exactly.
And what are you trying to position it? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to hit the Chinese market lah. You try to earn money. No, I don't want it to be like that lah. It's too Chinese lah. Then I'm like, then just don't post in Chinese lah. What the fuck? It's very conflicting.
The
I see
Chinese
what you mean.
dilemma.
The Chinese Dilemma by Ye Lin Sheng. Have you read that book?
I've been
Ye
meaning to
Lin
read. I've not. But what's why should I read it? I will read it, but
Well, it's basically a response to Mahathir's Malay dilemma, and it's basically a book trying to highlight the negative aspects of the Malaysian Chinese diaspora.
I need to read this book.
Oh yeah, you should. And also it also talks about it basically plays devil's advocate for the new economic policy and for the affirmative action. Basically, because to be fair, most Malays in post-colonial times were living below the poverty line. So that the reason for the affirmative action was actually to put everyone on a level playing field. It was but of course now we can see that it's basically used by rich people for their own agenda.
Yep.
But in the past, it was actually done to level out the playing field because
To bring them closer.
they were thrust from feudalism straight to capitalism straight away after colonialism.
Yep.
They didn't have time to adapt like the Chinese had. So there was a fear that the Malays would be left behind. So the Chinese dilemma basically plays devil's advocate for the affirmative action, new economic policy, and it also highlights some problematic cultural behaviors of the Chinese diaspora that might need to change to adapt to a changing world. That guy has been called a traitor, I think. Yeah,
Okay, time to read.
I have it, but I need to find it. I'll lend it
I
to
need
you
this
guys.
man on this podcast as well, motherfucker.
I'll lend it to you guys when I find it. I will find it. I'll go home and look for
It's
it.
not online. No way. I can't buy it.
Oh, I'm sure you can. It was by Ye Lin Sheng. It's a red colored book.
Can you just Google that shit? The Chinese dilemma.
I'm already trying to go to Shopee
Yeah.
to see.
I think
how I
you
got
can
my
buy it
Malay
online.
dilemma.
You can get it from Lazada, I think.
yeah.
Yes.
I think we can wrap this podcast up. But Chris, thank you so much
Thank
for coming.
you so much for having me.
Yeah,
on.
I think honestly, don't expect like this channel or your channel to blow up. I think this is just a great conversation to have. I think it was
Events, we clip it well, you know.
Oh, let's do that.
yeah. I think is a great pleasure to find someone that I can relate to.
was
Although at this point, I think your Mandarin is a lot better than mine. You know, it's just nice to vent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was a great pleasure talking to you three gentlemen as well.
Yeah, thank you for braving through the rain, my guy.
Thank you very much. And
Picture, no picture.
shall we?
No.
Oh, we don't need now. No need already. Yeah.
No more picture.
Now the thumbnail has changed.
The thumbnail now
Oh yeah.
I will do properly. 没问题. If that's how you use it.
So we need to snap the picture. again, right?
It's okay because during so what I do is now when I take
got it right.
I'll just do a screenshot of this
Yeah.
and then I do AI to
nice.
like just get him like that in the frame for the thumbnail. But yeah,
Oh, I gotta see how the Photoshop AI works, man.
it's fucking fantastic. Yeah. Dude, thanks so much for coming on,
you
man.
so
Brother. Yeah, okay. I think I'll just wrap this up. I'll just tag you. Just give me there's a link you owe me, but I'll message you.
I
after.
will.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right.
Cool. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks. Great
Well
conversation.
done, gentlemen.
Can't wait to check out your channel.
Oh, thank you so much. Do you guys have a channel? Do you have what?